Hello, hello. Oh, wow. I don't know about you, but I'm definitely feeling like an era is through. This balsamic moon is very interesting for sure. It's interesting for a lot of different reasons. Like when we're experiencing a new moon, we're experiencing the first light. We're experiencing the first kind of like intonation, the first inclination of what the cycle's going to be about and the direction that we're going in. And then we have the first quarter moon, and the first quarter moon is like the illumination of the direction that we're going in. And then we have the full moon, and that was our full moon in Scorpio this previous cycle. That full moon in Scorpio, I don't know about you, but I know about me and my Scorpio stellium. And that, hello from Los Angeles, hello to you too. I've been wanting to go back to LA. You know what? That's true. I feel a vacation coming through for me, really, is what that is. But it is what it is. Yeah, so the previous full moon in Scorpio that we just had our lunar nodes switch over. Well, not just, this was like when? July of the previous year is when our lunar nodes changed. So this was the first eclipse season where we were not connected to the Taurus and Scorpio lunar nodes. And so this was our full moon in Scorpio was really like not only a transition point, but it brought up a lot of clarity for us about where we've been and the work that we've been doing. And then we got to our third quarter moon, and it was like our direction of release and removal. And now we are the Aries Sun, Libra Moon, Virgo Rising. Love it. Thank you for the big three. Shout out. And now we are in the balsamic moon of that new moon in Aries. It's got me, because the balsamic moon is the grounding moon. It's literally the moon where the cycle comes to ground, and it's the grounding. Thanks for the follow. It's the grounding. Like we are grounding, we are grounded, our emotions are grounding. The cycle is grounding. We are grounding. This is the part of the moon cycle where they're like our cycle comes to the earth. And with the new moon in Aries that we had earlier in the month, our moon cycle, and that was the eclipse. And so we have this really big, like profound energy going on with that new moon solar eclipse happening in Aries. And if you've been paying attention to the shadow transits that have been happening over the previous couple of months, we've been having a lot of really big shadow work placements come through since basically the end of February. It's May. That's 2 months. 2 months. That's 2 months for like that's a long period of shadow work, especially through an eclipse season. And then we also were working with that shadow energy and shadow healing through a Mercury retrograde, which was a really big deal. So there's a lot of people who have gotten really triggered over the last couple of months and have allowed themselves to really do the healing work, but that was Aries influenced. All of that work has been, well, not all of it, but most of it, like 90% of it, the majority of it, has been Aries influenced. And so if you're experiencing the grounding of all of the shadow work that you've been doing while we're in this balsamic moon in Aries, congratulations, because you're grounding cycles. You're basically like ending a whole bunch of things that have been happening for the previous like 9 or so years, something like that. Maybe 18 and a half, depending on how long you've been alive and like what cycles you've been involved in. So yeah, crazy. So that's what's going on with our moon cycle. That's what's been going on. What's up, Sky? I love you. Hi, it's good to see you. I miss you. I could use a hug from you right now, Sky. I'll send you one through the digital ethers. Hope you're good. I hope you're more than good. I hope that life gives you everything that you need. You know what? That's true. Yeah. Oh, I miss you too. Yeah, I miss you too. Oh, wow. That's so good. Not me literally looking up tickets for nothing but love. You know what? It's so true. Yeah, I might be back where we met this year. I'm not going to give out too much information on here, but crazy. Wow. Do I do astrocartography? I do on a personal level, but I don't offer it right now as a service. So yeah, I am offering readings tonight if you're interested. I have up channeled readings, which is spirit. I sit and channel messages that come through. I also have ask a question for astrology. There is, what's the other ones? I just changed the names of them, so pardon me for not remembering in this moment. There's astrology practices, which brings in astrology and magic and kind of looks at your placements and the transits that are going on, and we look at kind of what's happening in your life, and then bring in practices that could be beneficial. And then there's also create a working. That's my favorite one to do, and it includes the astrology and the magic and the channeling of spirit. So we sit together and we work with the transits and your placements and all of the work that needs to come through. If you're really looking for change, if you're really looking to like ground something really serious, then that is the reading for you. So yeah. Also my big three. Who asked that one? My big three for Emery. My big three, I have a sun in Scorpio. I have a Cancer moon. I love my Cancer moon, but also it's a Cancer moon. And then I have my rising is in Gemini. I love my rising sign too. Yeah. It is. What, do you have a favorite rising sign? Not necessarily. I think that, because rising signs are not just about how we meet people. It's not just about how we meet and we greet people. But it's also about how we usher things in, like on a magical level. The rising sign is about how we usher in and how we're bringing things into our life and how we're bringing in like energy into our life, new energy into our life, how we're bringing in, just ushering in. When you usher in the spirit into the earth, when you usher it in, that's the rising sign. It's the east horizon, and also anything else that the east horizon may represent in your practice. So I don't necessarily have a favorite one. Also, our rising sign changes. Like we go through the entire cycle every day. And so I really think that it just depends on like your time of day that you really like, and like what are you working with at the time that could be really beneficial. Because like, for example, my rising sign is Gemini, and so I usher in new by bringing through information and like through conversation, which actually, okay, thank you, Spirit, for that clarity. I just sat with something beautiful. But so that would be like how I sit. But say that there was like expansion that I wanted to bring through. Whereas Jupiter right now, it's in Taurus, so I would either want to work with Taurus rising during the day, or I would want to work with Sagittarius, because Sagittarius is ruled by Jupiter, so Sagittarius rising throughout the day. And so it really, like, if you wanted to get really specific on it, because say that you're going to sit and do like a magical working, or there's going to be a weaving that you're involved in, and you wanted to look at, I think it's called elective astrology, which I just learned that recently, so shout out to that. If you're looking at elective astrology, like looking at the transits so that you can do a specific work, then you would also want to look at the rising sign, because that's how the work is going to be ushered in through the spirit to the earth. So yeah. I want to book a chart reading, but the site says it's $55 to ask questions. Do I only get one? I do that one as like a, how do I say? Like if you have like one or two, or just like a general area. I normally will sit with people in those readings until I feel like we're like through and like the information that needs to be grounded has been grounded. So it's not just a one question. If there's like a couple different areas, maybe I should change the name of that one too. I'm working through like the best names for the readings that I have up right now. But questions, multiple, I obviously like don't overload it, like probably no more than 3. And we can do like back and forth conversation also for clarity purposes. Like I'm not just going to leave you hanging on it, but yes. So if you have any other questions, let me know. If Kirsten, yeah, let me know. Yeah. Let's go Sag, you know. Hello to you too. Hi, Amber. Oh, the Leo sun. Yeah, you're so welcome. Thank you. Yeah. What is your podcast called? My podcast is called, I'm gonna sweat off. I literally was sitting with Spirit this morning before I went to sleep, because I sleep during the sun hours for the most part. And so also, thank you. Me naturally. Thank you. I was sitting with Spirit this morning, and what was the question? Wait, let me run it back. Oh, the podcast. I was sitting with Spirit this morning, and I realized that I'm in a mourning period right now. This is maybe personal, but we're going to talk about it. I'm in a mourning period right now. There's a lot of different things in my life, and I'm going to do my best not to cry, but if it happens, it happens. I've been crying for the previous 24 hours, just pretty consistently. It needs to be. Sometimes we just need to get it out of our system, But I've been realizing that I'm in this mourning period of just like everything that I've been through over the previous couple of years. There's a backstory to the podcast name. That's what this is. I've been realizing that I've been like everything I've been through, everything I've sacrificed, everything that spirit has put me through, training, putting me through situations around people that I didn't really need to be around, and allowing there to be a lot of like really harsh things that happened in my life so that I was able to be trained in the spirit needed to happen. And also like I am in a mourning period right now, and so I'm gonna take a break from like putting a whole bunch of energy towards, I literally this morning, this is what I was sitting with spirit and I was like, I just need some time, spirit, I just need some time. I don't know what that looks like, but I just need some time. So it feels really great where I am, but I just need some time. I need some time to reset. Is there anyone in line for a reading? No, there is not right now. I think there was someone else talking about booking, but I haven't seen any notifications come through yet for Sarah. So yes, but yeah, so I'm not going to be putting a bunch of energy right now, at least, into my podcast and into my YouTube. I just really want to reset. That's what I need. So just a heads up, there's not going to be a bunch of new content coming out on the podcast probably very soon because I need some personal time. I need like a heart vacation from everything that I've been through, finally in a place where I can like just slow down and reset myself. So just a heads up, but it is called Astrology and Magick, and it's Magick with a CK. There's links through the website that have more information. So I don't know when I'm going to be ready to start making more content in those areas, but I do know that I want to do it, but I also understand right now I just need to like sit and rest and be like, war is over finally for me. And I need to figure out who I am on the other side of that and also ground myself. So yeah, so there's a lot of episodes that are up that are really beautiful if you want to go listen to them and check them out. Some of them are still applicable to Go and Brew. Exactly, you know what? It's so good. It's so beautiful. A co-host of an astrology podcast called Astro Vibes. You're welcome to come on when you want. Oh, thank you, Emery. Thank you for that. And good luck with your podcast. That's beautiful. Come reset and get lost in the ocean with me. Mikasa es su casa. Thanks, Sky. I saw you send me messages. And I'm looking forward to reading them. And yes, I will text you. I will text you. Thank you so much for that. Oh, so good. I do. I need a vacation. I need it. I need to reset, you know? It is what it is. So I might take you up on that. We can reset together after some losses and some crosses, you know? Love you, Sky. So, yeah. So that's what's been going on with me. I literally had that conversation with Spirit today and was like, all right, I need some time. Gotta reset. Not quite there yet, but I'll be there when I need to be there and how I need to be there too. You know what? Because I trust me and I trust Spirit. And that's what it is. So, yeah. Our astrology transits right now are pretty, literally just like a couple of hours ago left having a conjunction of the moon and Mars. So everything for a reason, you know, is true. We literally just left that conjunction of having the moon and Mars together in Aries. So we had this moment a couple hours ago, and probably for a couple hours, of just like emotional victory and seeing like all of the beautiful work that we've done for ourselves and how it's kind of come to this culminating moment of, of victory. Like, how have you guarded your resources? How have you strategized? What does that look like? How are you able to grow from that? And how are you able to remain victorious? And then also too, we have the North Node and Chiron right now in Aries. So it's very much like all the skills that we have worked on to be victorious now are being highlighted, even though the moon moves pretty swiftly throughout the chart. And so the conjunction of the moon and Mars doesn't last for very long. It's already technically over. We have a 3 degrees Mars and a 4 degrees with the moon right now. But while it was happening, it was beautiful. It was a beautiful, beautiful moment of just like, wow, at least for me, I was doing the dishes and I was like, I really made it through. I really did it. So yeah, if that for you, if you're experiencing emotional victories, congrats, because you know what, congratulations, that's really true. We've also got some other interesting happenings going on. We have Pluto retrograde right now too, and that one is such a big work that I haven't even been able to like put words to it, you know? It's such a big reverse. We're going in reverse. This is a great time if you are looking to reverse a curse, or you're looking to work with reversals, like generally speaking, if you're needing to reverse anything that's happened in the previous, especially because it's going back into Capricorn. So anything from the Pluto and Capricorn era that needs to be reversed before we completely move on, this is a great time to do that. What else is happening with Pluto reversals? We have Pluto reversals, and really also too, this is Pluto retrograde is one of my favorite, it's one of my favorite transits to see in a chart, because Pluto retrograde, we have the new life come through, and then there is this period of decisions, and then there is the death. Whereas Pluto direct, we have the death, and then there's this period of decisions, which is Pisces and 12th house energy, the liminal space in between the death and the rebirth of Scorpio and Pluto and Mars also, but that in between space is the Pisces 12th house, where we're like making decisions. And then we have the birth, so that's Pluto direct. But when Pluto's retrograde, the new life comes in, and then we make decisions on what leaves. So like it's more jam-packed. There's more energy around us. There's more like life coming through. There's more during a Pluto retrograde, rather than there being kind of like barren space during Pluto direct. But that causes for there to be, when you're holding on to more, sometimes things you can get a little messy because you're holding on too much if it's, so you have to really like keep your priorities aligned and like make sure that you're standing in your power as the new comes in, while you're also moving out and like letting go of things. So it's a really intense time, Pluto retrograde is. It's also a time where power structures can fall. And that one, I'm curious to see what happens, because Pluto's a generational planet. If you've been on the internet in the previous like couple of months, there's a lot of, power structure related things that are happening in our world. So I think Pluto retrograde is, especially being in Aquarius, which has to do with like breaking out of the systems and doing things differently. Let me not use my words too specifically on that, but doing things differently and like breaking out of systems and like getting rid of the old mold, and the old mold literally like decay, but then also the old mold. Someone sent in for an order, shout out. The old mold as in like what we were molded into, like the form that we were molded into. It's like getting rid of that and doing something new. Pluto in Aquarius is a really interesting transit. Because Aquarius is a warding spirit in astrology, and then Pluto is a warding spirit in astrology. So we're literally experiencing a warding planet going through a warding sign, but it's not the warding sign where Pluto is at home. So we're having this very different energy. And what do I mean by warding? Like the veils, the place in between the space. So yes, I'm hosting if you're interested more in that, there is a Pluto and warding magic live stream that I'm doing on, which I need to get that set up on TikTok too. I have it set up on my website, but I need to get it set up on TikTok. That's something that was on my mind today. So I need to remember that. I need to remember it for myself. But that's available on the website right now. It's happening on May 29th. Beautiful, gorgeous. And there's more information over there too. And if ever you have questions, feel free to send me emails. There's a contact page on my website also. So yeah, that's what's up with that. So let's see who sent through for, another one is this Nikhil again? Oh, curious. Welcome in return. Wow. Nikhil, did you mean to send this through? Because there was another one that got sent through from you. Hiya to you too. I did. Beautiful. Okay, gorgeous. Gorgeous. Haven't I? Let me reread this, because it looks like your note changed from the previous time. Okay. Wow. So you've had a conversation since you have most previously talked to me, because you said that was May 1st and we had our reading on April 30th. So let me finish reading this. Mm. Mm-hmm. Beautiful. All right, let me pull up your chart. Oh, love is such an interesting spirit, is it not? It is such an interesting spirit. I've been learning a lot about love recently. To love someone, to be in love with someone, to offer love to someone. Like, giving and receiving love is such a vulnerable place to be. So if you are courageous enough to offer love and receive love from someone, congratulations are due for you, because not everyone is creating a space where they're able to do that. And there's nothing wrong with that. Nothing wrong with that. But it takes a very, very strong person to be able to offer and receive love. So continue to do that for yourself. If you're someone who is learning how to do that, or you are able to do that, continue to do that for yourself, and do it in the places and the spaces where you feel like you're meant to, you know? Yeah. Love is a beautiful thing, and also it does take some time to really get into it, you know? Yeah. Oh no, don't apologize for the long text. Sometimes we have to use our words to explain, and that's a beautiful thing. So thank you for sharing with me. Yes. Like I said, I think I've said this multiple times within my live streams, and I'll say it again. I'm not good at the multitasking, so I've just been talking, and also getting the information put in, but every once in a while. Let me double check the time. Is it meant to be? Is your birth time meant to be 5:50 a.m.? I feel like I had to double check this last time too, but I want to. The way that it shows up is 5:05. Okay, thank you. I don't know what it is about that time slot in there, but you know what? Not a bad thing. All right, let me get your birthplace in there, and then we should be good. And let me switch up this house system. Okay. I think part of this, how curious, actually. You know what, Nikhil? It makes sense that you are experiencing this kind of like reversal, or like sudden reversal. Yes, I have the city. Thank you. So into everything you do. Thank you. For readings, there is a place on the website. If you go through on the homepage, thank you for the follow. If you scroll down, there's a place where it says TikTok live stream readings, or if you go to services in the menu, there's options there too. So if you have questions, let me know. And if I don't see it, then re-ask when I'm like back to looking at the screen. Sometimes I get really pulled into the readings, so just a heads up. Yeah. So I think that with the Pluto retrograde that just started, it makes sense that there is this like reversal possible like conversation that's happening with the possible loss of this person, or the possible breakup with this person, because you have your 7th house in Scorpio. Is ruled by Scorpio, which means that your 7th house is going through reconsiderations, and your 7th house is also going to be going through, because what happens in Pluto retrogrades when it comes to the like the bonds and the bindings, because Pluto also has to do with our exchanges. So the 7th house has to do with how we mirror our intimate partner. So this person that you're with, how you mirror them and how you reflect them, that's the 7th house. But when it comes to Scorpio, that rules over our exchanges, which is actually the 8th house. So you have this really like powerful 7th house of anyone that you mirror, you actually are exchanging with them. However, right now with our Pluto retrograde that's happening, well, actually, let me back up a little bit further. So with that exchange process, there's like an agreement that's made. It's like if you've ever seen people like do a contract by shaking hands, or it's like word is bond kind of contract. That's also very Scorpio energy. And so to have those types of contractual obligations, the 8th house also has to do with contracts. Scorpio is very contract based a lot of the times, and because it has to do with exchange. So it's like, I have a penny and you have an almond, let's trade. That is such a simple example, but that's really like what Scorpio is about. Is like, you have something that I need for my victory and I have something that you need for your victory, so let's exchange, we can both be victorious. And so it's really about allies and allyship in that also. And then people who do not fit your allyship, have like basically like breaking contracts with those, how do I say, those people or spaces, or also those like organizations too, because sometimes it can do with like your job or different areas like that. But for you, with this specific reading having to do with like the love interest and really what that looks like. So when Pluto retrograde happens, we are experiencing those contractual bindings with people where we are in contract with them. I have a penny, you have the almond, let's trade and have our victories together. Then those contracts have the possibility where they're undone and they become unbound. They don't stick around. And this, sometimes when this happens, there's the undoing of the contractual bindings. It requires us, because with the Pluto influence, it's about if those contractual bindings have somehow not allowing you, they haven't been allowing you to walk in your power or talk in your power, then this can become like, they become undone. Because the one thing that Pluto really asks you to do is to become the most powerful version of you. And sometimes, in my opinion, the harshest planets in our system, when we look at astrology and astrological transits, are Saturn and Pluto. Those are the most like intense, harsh, when we don't listen to them. Because if we listen to them, normally they're pretty easy to work with. But if we're not listening to them, even sometimes when we are listening to them, they can come through and give us like really harsh lessons. So when it comes to your Pluto retrograde in your chart, you have a Pluto retrograde in your chart. And I remember mentioning this in your previous reading. I'm going to bring it back up, that whenever you're experiencing Scorpio energy, your 7th house, so relationships, if you're able to, it's at 29 degrees. Your Pluto is at 29 degrees. So if you're able to go all the way through the transformation with a person and they're able to stick around with you and they are someone of value in your life, then it's a beautiful, beautiful arrangement, and probably they're going to be there for a very, very long time. When it comes to Pluto energy influencing the 7th house, also sometimes it can take a little bit longer, especially with your Pluto being at 29 degrees. That's the most mature position of Pluto. Or in a transit, 29 degrees is the most mature. So if you're finding yourself like really actually going through, because we focused, I feel like in the previous reading, a lot about kind of like that relationship dynamic, and I feel really called right now to focus on how you are able to sit with your power and like what this Pluto retrograde might be offering to you, and the sense of power and like self-reflection, because the 7th house is not just about how we reflect with our intimate partners. It's also about how we reflect intimately back to ourselves. It's about our mirror magic and how we're looking at ourselves in our reflection, like literally if you're staring in a mirror. So I think probably actually some form of reflection, some form of self-reflection about what you're really asking of your power right now. Because one of the things, okay, so I feel like we're gonna go through a couple of Pluto rants and then we're gonna bring them together, I have a feeling. But for now, I'm just gonna kind of like info dump about other Pluto information, since this is where your 7th house is, and the Pluto retrograde, your Pluto's retrograde, so applicable information. When Pluto is asking us to like find more power, we also have to work with direction, which, speaking of, where's your Mars? Your Mars is in the 5th house and it's in Leo, which that's a Leo in the 5th house work together. That's modernly ruled. The 5th house is modernly ruled by Leo. So that lines up beautifully. And then having your Mars there, that means that is your resource. Your love and your joy and how you shine bright in those, that is your resource. And it's also what are you defending? That's the resource that you're defending. It's also how you move in your strategies, is to be heart-centered, to be heart-based, to be seen in your heart, to have validation in the joy that you're feeling and like the pure bliss that you're sharing with people. And with yourself too. So like that being a resource for you, and then that having an influence also in your 7th house. When we're working with Pluto energy and we're gaining more power and we're going through Pluto retrogrades also, we're reconsidering our direction, because as we're going through our experience, how we can't gain power if we don't go through experiences. We gain wisdom by experiencing things. We gain wisdom by experiencing situations that have caused possible hardship, or are in the darkness, or are understood within our secrets, but not necessarily understood by people who haven't experienced something similar to what we are going through in that moment. So if you are experiencing this moment of this relationship where there's this heartbreak, things are not difficult. I don't know exactly what you would use in your words to describe or explain, like what exactly is going on. But there, with the 7th house hi baby, I love you. You want to come stay with me? With the 7th house influence, there is with your Scorpio, with the Pluto retrograde, that happened a day before Pluto went retrograde. So there's a reconsideration happening about what direction you're going through in your intimate spaces. Because ultimately, if 7th house is ruled by Scorpio, you find your power by reflecting upon those intimate partners and that reflection of you through those intimate partnerships. And so it sounds like right now is a really great time for you to sit in reflection and understand what is altering your direction, because this is that conversation happened right before Pluto went retrograde. It's lined up with the transit, it's lined up with your houses, and kind of like seeing that reflection for yourself of what is it that you're gaining from the situation that you're in with this person. What is it that you're gaining from the situation that you're in? Do you accept what you're gaining? Like if it's strain that you're gaining, because that can be a gain. Like what is the situation offering you? If there's love that's being offered to you, if there's purity that's being offered to you, if there's new learnings and like sharing of music or artwork, or every relationship is different. So anything that you're gaining through this experience is something that's offering you power. And so to be able to break down kind of like where you're rooted in that relationship when it comes to your power, and what do I mean by that also? Because thank you Spirit, that's true. Our power, we decide where we root in for our power. So like our power comes from us, but we also are drawing on other spirits. So we could sit in love, or we could sit in fear, or we could sit in justice. There's so many different spirits that we're able to sit in while we're also calling on power and drawing power. So where you draw power from, it's also going to return. And that's kind of part of the life and death cycle of Pluto also. So really reflecting for yourself where you're drawing your power from, how it's returning to you through that contractual obligation of reflection in that relationship, and if you're receiving what you're asking for within that contractual obligation of relationship reflection with that person. And if you need to change direction, how it will probably require further inspection. So because it's not just going to be change direction in this relationship, it's probably going to be change direction for the long term also, because Pluto is about what happens after, that's how it gains through the death and the rebirth cycle. So if you have something that's happening in this situation now that you're realizing is offering you wisdom, it's offering you love, it's offering you strain, it's offering you, again, it can be so many different things that's being offered to you. What is the value that's being offered to you? And do you actually agree with the power that is offering to you? And if not, what's the direction that's going to shift so that you're able, thank you Spirit, that's true. What's the direction that's going to shift so that you're able to bring new through for you? Because when we're working with Pluto and with Mars for Scorpio, there has to be an understanding of the power that you're gaining through the direction of your choice. And it sounds like you're learning how to use your voice in this relationship. And also, I would look to, that's what I see in reflection, but I would also look to like in your reflection of self-reflection this period. Like I feel like these are like journal prompts, kind of looking at your period of self-reflection and understanding what are you asking of yourself to gain within the power of your relationships, because our partners always offer us something. They always offer us something. And so what is it, what power, what type of power do you want to receive from being in a relationship? What type of power do you want to receive from the reflection of that relationship? What type of power do you need that person to offer to you? Because the other part of Scorpio too, like a lot of the other, how do I say, the signs in our astrological studies, a lot of the other signs are very based in a specific kind of energy. Libra, for example, is justice. There's balancing happening. You have Virgo, which is like indirect communication. There's food magic happening there. So that's like this very specific like topic or area of study. Scorpio's study is our will. It's literally the study of our choices. It's the study of our decisions. It's the study of what decisions are we making for ourselves that are gaining more power for us, or did we lose power by making a decision? Are we gaining power by making a really big decision? Are we focusing on our smaller decisions? And so to have a 7th house that's ruled by Scorpio, to have this place of intimate partnerships that's literally ruled by your will, it's really up to you to sit with your reflection, the 7th house in reflection, to sit with your reflection and choose your direction. Because if you let others choose that direction for you, granted in the 7th house, it's a reflection, and as you are both choosing your direction, that's true. This is part of the foundation that you need in your relationships because of this placement. As you're choosing your direction, it needs to be in like parallel, in tandem, in conjunction with the other person. And if at any point you are deciding on something different and it takes you in a different direction, they have to also make the conscious decision to take that different direction and come with you. If it was that they were going to take a turn and go in a different direction, and then you could consciously take that turn and go with them, but it also then, is their direction going to be like literally the direction of without you? Because that would be a direction too, and that would mean that couldn't, like, you couldn't take that turn because you literally can't go down that channel, because it is a channel that's not, it's the absence of you. So interesting thought. Okay, I need to remember that for myself. So when it comes to the 7th house being with the Scorpio, the Pluto retrograde, also let's look at your Aquarius placements. Yes, so this is also about hierarchy for you. So in the details of this reflection and study for yourself, and this could be meditation, journaling, I just see that there needs to be some type of self-reflection of like what it is that you really want and what direction you're going in. So hopefully the kind of like topics of discussion or the tools I'm bringing up are helpful for you in that space and in that period of time that you are sitting with that discernment for yourself of what it is that you want. Because then when it comes to your Uranus and your Aquarius placements, your Uranus is in the 10th house, which is your hierarchies. So it's like when other people have power over you, or you have power over another person. And so that kind of hierarchical aspect is where Pluto is moving through right now for you. And so that retrograde is affecting how you're understanding hierarchies, and if other people have power over you, what does that look like? And if you have power over other people, what does that look like? Have they earned having power over you? It's like also if you look at it in a sense of like, to ground it in the physical, like a job, having a manager over you, they technically have a power over you, whereas you would be like on the team that's being managed by that person. So that's more of like a real life example or like applicable space for that. But it also, Pluto is like the secrets and the indirect too, so it's not just about those physically grounded spaces, especially going through Aquarius, it's air energy. And so looking at too how in your intimate relationships, and maybe not just this intimate relationship, but possibly in other intimate relationships, there have been hierarchical struggles and what that looks like. And if you're able to reflect upon your power in those hierarchies, if you were giving your power away, were there other intimate partners who were taking your power? Was there, because really what this Pluto and Aquarius transit being lined up with the 7th house of Scorpio for you, what that's asking of you, at least for right now, because eventually with the house system that I use, there is going to be Pluto moving into your 11th house. It's going to be more about your social circles. But for the first 8 years of this transit, it's going to be really focused on the hierarchies within your relationships and your intimate reflections. And so understanding that in your intimate relationships, there needs to be you and your partner are at the same hierarchy in every detail that is completely possible. And if you have a leg up or a power up over them in some way, that there's a healthy relationship with that, or vice versa. And it could be that maybe they have they're in another hierarchy in some regard over here that you just haven't trained in the skill yet, and you have a hierarchy over here that they haven't trained in, but somehow it works out and it's actually healthy for you. Then that, again, because Scorpio has to do with your will and what you're willing into your relationship. So if you decide that type of hierarchical relationship is applicable or necessary for you, then that's also a valid space to be in. But that's how this Pluto retrograde is really sitting with that space for you. Also, too, this is your North Node. Your North Node is in this house. So these are new skills. This is something that is going to get you a little bit uncomfortable, studying this type of self-reflection, looking at your relationship in these regards and in these facets. It's going to be a little bit uncomfortable. It's new skills. You're doing new things. You're allowing yourself, you're allowing yourself to really open up and follow a calling and a purpose. And a calling and a purpose we are not always able to fully articulate. So if you're feeling like you're not able to fully articulate it, go back to that heart space where you have your Mars in, because you have a Pluto that's lined up with Scorpio too. So if you're finding it difficult to sit with these skills at any point, going back to the heart space and seeing what is your joy, what is the love aspect of it, and really you are someone who through this process, if you allow love to really lead you and you show yourself where the love is, also, where's your sun at? Because that's going to rule over Leo. And the systems of your love. How do the details of your love work for you? Because you have your sun in Taurus in the first house. So pouring into that, how does that love help you grow? How does that love, and that's the South Node for you is in Taurus. So you're really, really good. That's true. Thank you, Spirit. You're really, really good at sitting in that growth energy and being really good at focusing on yourself. It's the intimate relationships. That's where your new skills are. You're really good at sitting with you. So if ever you feel there's uncomfortability when it comes to learning about your will in relationships, and with the Pluto retrograde in Aquarius that's happening, the hierarchies within your relationships, your power from that or the loss of power from that, and how you're comfortable with that, and if you're comfortable with that, and if you're not, what decisions are you making to change and transition that. And then if you're feeling uncomfortable with that, it's a little bit too much, then lean back on the self-love and the self-growth and taking time for yourself and pouring back into yourself. You also have a Taurus stellium, and that's where your fortune placement is, so it's good luck. So if you're ever needing to lean back on that to really grow within the self, growing within the self is what helps, and shining light there and communicating with the self and really allowing yourself to have victory within your love there within the self. That's what allows you to really open up and have this beautiful foundation for your relationships. So looking at the reflection of that could be really helpful too. Is there anything that you feel like you need extra relation to with the information? Because I just really feel that there needs to be a self-reflection, especially with Scorpio being the area of focus of Scorpio being the will. What is it that you are wanting? That is really the focus. What are you wanting? And if you're able to confront what you want, then there is going to be some type of power that's given to you. So just a couple of things for sure. You let me know. Also, for anyone else who's interested in personal readings, they are available on the website. They're available on the homepage, or if you go to the menu, they're in services if you click on services. So yes, I just put up I changed the titles of them. My channeled readings they have returned, super exciting, which is like where I sit in channel spirit. They're more vision based. And then we have the ask a question readings, beautiful, that's what we're sitting in now. And then there's a couple of other ones that are a little bit more like advanced or full. So yes, yeah. How does the month of May look for my love relationships as per my chart and current transits? Let me go and check to see what we're moving through astrologically. There's going to be interesting. Jupiter's going to be moving into Jupiter's going to be moving into Gemini. Or is that in June? I think that's June 8th. So just kidding. But it is going to be that's the one that I'm focusing on though. So let's talk about it. You have your dark moon in Gemini. So this is about mother wound, manipulation, betrayal. It's also about like, how do I say, being empowered in the feminine energy and allowing your feminine energy to be empowered. It could be how your mother manipulated you when you were younger. It's not a super fun placement to sit in. However, we have been sitting in this kind of like darker space for the previous couple of months when it comes to this dark moon. And that really started, and Chiron, both of them. That really started, when was it? February 24th was when we had the full moon in Virgo, and our dark moon is in Virgo right now. Actually, the dark moon is lined up with your Chiron. Interesting. So if you're able to really sit with your healing work, like the shadow work, the healing work, the feeling work, will we survive this hard conversation we just had? And can you please check if there's any... I'll wait for the other message to come through. Yes. Also, Logan, thank you for the gift. Shout out. Thank you for being here. And hi to you too, Kim. Hello. Short-term travel for me during this month is my only other question. Beautiful. I would definitely take some time to, if I were you, with what with the information that you've shared with me and the conversation of hardness that has happened, because I can't make, how do I say, there are decisions within your relationship that I am not able to create for you, you know? So if I were you with these placements and kind of like what's happening with the transits right now, especially, how do I say? Something I notice about your questions, I hope you don't take this the wrong way. Something I notice about your questions is that you're asking about like, and this is not a bad thing. You're asking about like future conditions or like future, like how are the transits going to affect this, or how are possible placements going to intervene or maybe not intervene on your behalf or like within the relationship space that you're in. And having a 7th house in that intimate relationship space that is ruled by Scorpio, you literally cannot give your power. I mean, you can if you want to, but if you want to know what's going to happen in that relationship because of this and the transit with Pluto retrograding in Aquarius right now, with the hierarchies in your chart, you literally are not able to give your power to the transits and like ask the transits. You are the one who has to make the decision, and you have to either make it with yourself, for yourself, or you have to be able to make that decision with your partner, because that's one of the things that Pluto asks us to do, is to regain our power. And that also means not giving your power away to the transits and how they're affecting you, which means that with the 7th house, and this is why I hope you don't take this the wrong way, because it's not, making decisions, especially with our heart, is sometimes very difficult. It's not always the easiest thing to do that. And so that's why I say I hope you don't take it the wrong way, because it is like intimate relationships and love decisions they're difficult sometimes. They're hard decisions to make, especially if there's like the possibility of heartbreak and like you're having this really hard conversation with this person who you're like actually really in love with and you want to be with, it sounds like. And so that would be, as I feel like it's like kind of a paradox, because you came here for astrological advice, but that's the astrological advice with where your chart is like don't give your power to the transits. Sit with yourself and really reflect with you and what you want and what you're going through, and look at the lessons that this situation is offering you. That's really like having a 7th house, any type of that's ruled by Scorpio, any type of rough situation that you would be in with an intimate partner, there is the possibility that there is a really beautiful outcome on the other side of it. You have to ask yourself, though, like what direction is going to allow you to have that victory, and then allow yourself to go through the transformation, because there will be some type of inner transformation or external transformation through the 7th house of Scorpio. This also means too that if you're going through transformations, you have an intimate reflection with someone. So also too, within that reflection space for yourself, look at what you are going through. Like what is the transformation that you're going through on a personal level, and also what transformation is this other person going through on a personal level, not just within the relationship space, but like as individual people. What are the transformations that you're going through, and what decisions are each of you making that are allowing you to receive that transformation, and really look at what they're asking for in their victory as well, because that's something that I am not able to see in this moment. I also don't have their astrology chart in front of me, but looking at like sitting and like literally closing your eyes and looking at their victories and what are they claiming in their victories, because Scorpio is also ruled by Mars, which has to do with our victories, and studying that, and then studying what you are claiming victories in. That's going to be really important for this too. So that's my advice. I don't know if that's really what you wanted to hear, but that's what I would focus on. That's really what I would focus on, is allowing yourself to get really in tune with what you want, and allowing yourself to make the decisions. Confront what you want. So, and it's not always easy to do that. So give yourself some credit for that process. Give yourself some credit for being able to do that in the first place. And yes, does that make sense? Also, I send my love to you, because going through rough situations within relationships is not very fun. That's not a fun time. That's not a very fun time. Not a very fun time. Trying to book online, but don't understand which one is the birth chart reading. If you are, let's see, let me go to my page. So the channeled reading is like a spirit reading where I sit and channel. The ask a question is a birth chart reading where I look at your astrology chart and like the transits that are happening. And then there's astrology practices. That one is also birth chart like oriented, but it has more to do with like bringing through specific practices. So like if you're looking to change something or like grow from something, or bringing through specific practices for the placements that you're needing to look at, it's a little bit more involved, versus the ask a question is really just like relative to what's happening now, and the placements within the chart that are relative for the questions that you're asking. But then the astrology practices gets more in depth with like the magic of it, and how can you create through magic to make change or like change the situation. So and then the creative working is also astrology involved. That one is the channeling where I sit and channel spirit, and then there's also like we're looking at the magic of it and like the practices of it, and we're looking at the current transits, and we're looking at your chart. So yes, you're welcome, and thank you too. yes It does appreciate it. Would love to know if you could tell. Oh yes, travel. That was the other thing that you asked about. Okay, hold on. Let me go through and see. I feel like that one, because that was related to, I think I'm going to return that again to you, because the travel that you asked about is related to this person. Yeah, the travel that you asked about is also related to this person. So all the self-reflection that you're gonna sit in, or like the self-reflection like space that you're gonna sit in, cheers to you too. I've traveled to India too. Okay, gorgeous. Well, with Jupiter moving in, because Jupiter, that's true. Jupiter has to do with our expansion, which also has to do with our travels. When that moves into Gemini, allow me to receive that. That's in June. What's the date that you're, what's the travel date? What are you, when's the date? What date are you looking at traveling then? Definitely for the other one though, sit and have that reflection space and time. But I do need more information for the travel for India. Or if are you asking me for what date would be good for you? Or there's something that's happening on the 25th. What is it that's happening on the 25th? There's something that's happening. Let me figure it out really quick. Because I don't remember in this moment what it is. But there is something that's going on. I remember looking it up and being like, oh, curious that that's happening on that day. The 25th. 21st. The sun moves into Gemini on the 21st? Yep. On the 21st. What's happening on the 25th, though? Allow me a moment. And Venus moves in. That's true. Beautiful. May 25th. What was the 25th? Why was that so important? Was there something that goes retrograde on that day? Let me go to the next one. Let's see. No, I think that's when Jupiter enters. Interesting. Okay, so definitely that's going to be interesting. That time is going to be interesting because we have the sun enters on Gemini on the 21st. Venus enters Gemini on like the 23rd or something like that, 22nd. And then on the 25th, 26th, that's when Jupiter enters Gemini. So there's actually going to be probably a lot of information that you're able to receive from this travel. Definitely pay attention to the fact also that because that's your second house, so that's literally the resource that you offer to people is information, and so reserve the information, like reserve, conserve the information unless you are ready to have some sort of exchange and like having there be, how do I say, unless you're ready to receive something. So like it literally look at your information as a currency while you're traveling. But this is probably a really good time for travel. There's probably a lot of really beautiful there's going to be a lot of information that you receive, like scholarly information, gossip information, lots of different conversations happening. There's not really any like negative aspects into regards of this travel. Just be really, really prepared to have there be a lot of information, and I mean a lot of information. Jupiter is going to be in Gemini during that travel time. Venus is going to be in Gemini, and the sun is going to be in Gemini. So there's going to be a lot of receiving of information plus expansion with that information. This is literally that travel for you is going to be like a time of study. I don't know exactly what you're going to be studying, so maybe set some intentions for yourself before you travel or what it is that you're looking to gain from that situation, from that travel. But it's going to be a situation where you are studying and there's going to be information that comes through. And remember that your information is a resource for you. So don't let other people like take that information from you. And also, like, if you're sharing information about what you are studying, there needs to be some sort of they just need to regard it as it is a resource. Even if you're giving it to them for free, like if they're not regarding it as it is a resource, then maybe don't share other information with them. But definitely sit with your studies. It's a great time for travel. Sit with your studies and figure out what it is you want to study. There's going to be a lot of like very probably curious information that you're receiving while you are traveling, and that I feel like that's really exciting. We were talking about some pretty serious things earlier because that's a really serious situation, but the travel, I feel like that travel is going to be a really, really, it's also going to help things unravel. Gemini is the twins, and so it's like we're transforming into like a new version of ourselves, or we're realizing we can be different. And so there's like this energy of like you're doing things differently, or you're becoming a different version of yourself, and like having that, how do I say? like change or transition within the information that you're learning. Like you're realizing, oh, you can do things differently. So definitely look out for that. That's probably going to be really good. That's exciting, actually. I feel really good about that for travel for you. So beautiful. And I'll go ahead, I'll call it through. So, and also may your travels be easy for you. May they be easy for you. Beautiful. Yes. May everything be received in love, truth, elevation, and free in the highest order that there can be. And thank you too. Yes. Would love to book a channeled reading, but I don't want to miss. Hello. So I'm on live right now. Hi. I don't actually have like a set schedule of when I do live. So the way that I do my readings is that if you go through and book right now, then I don't know if there's a line. Actually, I need to go and check and see if there's anyone else who's sent through. If there's not though, then you would be the first one in line and we would sit and do a reading right now. Also, yes, have fun. That does sound good. That does sound nice. We would sit and do a reading right now. But yeah, so there's no one sitting in line right now. So if you are interested in it, then we can sit together and sit in your reading. Yeah, so that is what that is. I'm not taking on any private sessions right now. So like if you're curious about having like a booking, I'm not taking on any extra private sessions. Like if you've already booked with me, then that will be at our scheduled time, but I'm not taking on any extra right now because I just need some time. I need some time to like not be on a schedule and to just let myself decompress and to not be stressed about anything. Life has put me through it for the previous couple years and I'm finally out of it. So I'm going to sit and I'm going to rest. I'm going to receive. I'm going to let myself recover. It's going to be beautiful, gorgeous, and I need it. So yes, beautiful. What do you know about the energies? But yeah, also just I'm not taking on private bookings right now. So that's the other information. What do I know about the energetics of semi-sextiles and inconjuncts? I don't know that I've heard the word inconjuncts actually. Just learn they exist. I've only ever been familiar with squares, oppositions, conjunctions. I've known about semi-sextiles for a while, but let me look up inconjuncts. That's curious. Inconjuncts astrology. Inconjunct astrology aspect occurs when two planets are 150 degrees apart. What is it? I feel like I've seen this before actually. What is it? Hold on, let me see. Let me look into the picture. Inconjuncts. Where are you? There's the conjunction, opposition, inconjuncts. Conjunction. Great conjunctions. Not that one. Conjunction 3. Nope. Nope. Sextile square. The semi-sextile I think is interesting because the sextile is like reproductive energy. So it's like fruitful energy and it also is like duplication. Also, yes, hello, I am back. It's also duplication. And so if you're experiencing like sextile energy, then there is the process of duplication and like fermentation and there's pollination. And so semi-sextile is that energy, but it's in the like undercurrents, or it's like in the unseen, the indirect, kind of like how Mercury rules Gemini and Virgo, where in that's true actually, that's curious. I haven't thought about it like that before, but yeah, it's true. Mercury rules Gemini, which is like our direct communication, and so we have like the light aspect of communication, versus Virgo, where it's in the indirectness, it's in the shadow, it's not necessarily articulated. So that would be more of the semi-sextile, but with that same energy of like reproduction and having there be duplication that's involved. But the in conjunction, I'm not seeing anything on that one on here. So let me try another website, see if I can find anything. What's in conjunct energy? Aspect symbolizes a relationship between two planets characterized by what can only be called a potent feeling, or is that the same angle, the in conjunction? Hold on. Images. Power of hybrid being born within the week of them. People who are born around eclipses have a really big power structure. And you know what's interesting? There's been a lot of people that I've done readings for recently who were born on eclipses or born in the same moon cycle as the eclipse. Crazy. That's crazy to me. That's crazy. Because an eclipse? You're telling me you're born on an eclipse? And it's funny too, because most of the people who come through who I've done readings for who are born in the moon cycle or on the moon that there was an eclipse don't have any idea. And so I do their reading and I do their chart and it is like, wow. And maybe I don't know the difference of a hybrid eclipse. So many questions. We're going to do some research tonight, apparently, because, yep, I don't know what that one is either or what the difference is. So let's look it up. Let's look it up. There we go. Once every 10 to 12 years. Wow. Wow. I'm not finding any other information on the in conjunct or what that would be. It said it's 150 degrees. Is that the quincunx? Quincunx? I think that's what that is. The quincunx. I think that's the same. Or the, how do I say? Yeah. Quincunx. I don't know if I'm pronouncing that correctly, but I'm pretty sure that's what you're talking about when you say in conjunct. I'm pretty sure that is the same, or they're aligned in the, I think it's the same thing. In conjunct. Quincunx, in conjunct. Yeah, that's the same thing. It's okay, interesting. So let me go down then. Let me refresh my memory. I haven't worked with that aspect since I started studying it. Oh yeah, this one is like, This one's actually a very interesting, the pronunciation of it, oh my goodness. Quincunx, or the in conjunct, quincunx in conjunct. So it's 150 degrees, and it's indirect that brings clarity. It's a very interesting energy of like, you have to pay attention to it or it's not going to talk to you. Like it's you ever showed up to a room full of people and like you can tell that there's a person who, this is kind of honestly how I show up to parties. If there's a person in the room and they don't say anything, they just sit, hang out, chilling. That's really, I might sit on here and talk on my live streams, but like in person, if I'm in person and I'm at an event, I don't talk to people. I don't talk to people. I'm a Scorpio 6th house. That's where my Mercury is. That's where my sun is. I just don't talk to people. Like I keep my secrets to myself. So that's what I do when I go out in public and I just keep to myself. Say I don't talk to people. The quincunx is that if you are in a room full of people, astrologically, metaphorically speaking, and there's a person who shows up and is doing that, is just hanging out by themselves, you have to go talk to them. When you do go talk to them, if you choose to make the active decision to go talk to them, there's clarity that comes through. They say the right thing at the right time. There's like these beautiful like aha moments that can happen, but that requires that you are actually like being involved with that aspect, the quincunx. You have to be involved with it. You have to make an active, it's a passive, it is naturally a passive aspect, and so if you want to be involved in it, you have to actually be involved in it. Otherwise it's going to stay in the shadows and just like hang out and have an effect on you. It's still going to have power in the transits and in the aspects, but if you want to know what's up with it, you gotta go talk to it. Yeah, it sounds like shadowy. Yeah. You gotta go talk to it. It's one of my favorite, and when I learned about that one, I was like, oh, curious. Interesting. I like that one. Sounds like me. Yeah. Also, hello to you too. I got curious and I was born on the moon cycle leading up to an eclipse too. Beautiful. That was funny. That's funny. I have my vertex in Scorpio in the 6th house too. I love that vertex. It's a great vertex. It's a great vertex. Also, someone just sent in for a reading. So good. Yeah, it's a beautiful, I love the vertex placement also, like generally speaking. It's a beautiful one. I'm excited to have my chart later this month. So good. So good. I'm excited too. Yes, I understand. Just purchase. Gorgeous. Wait a minute. I know you. Oh, I haven't talked to you in so what feels like a very long time. I love you too. This is gonna make me cry. You know how much I have been returning to that period of my life today, like today specifically, I am crying. Oh my goodness. I love you. Thanks for showing up. Don't, babe. They're happy tears. It's tears of like, oh wow. I've been really overwhelmed with emotion today. It not in a bad way though. It's been really good and really like refreshing, but oh my goodness. Whenever I cry on my live streams, like I'm not someone to hide my emotions, but I'm always like, I'm crying on the internet again. So anyways, wow, it's so good to see you. Oh, and I know that I can't like see you, but like, wow, thank you so much for showing up and supporting me. Oh, I love you. I love you. I love you. Oh my goodness. So good. Wow. Okay. And you got the channel reading too. Gorgeous. That's beautiful. So let me read your note and then I'll call in space and we can sit together in that. Oh my goodness. I feel like the last time I saw you, was that the most previous time that I saw you? Or were we getting, I think we went out to go get dinner, lunch. I don't know if that restaurant even exists anymore. That's weird. I'm back here. Don't tell anybody. I'm back. That's also really weird, but it is. Wow. Yes. Really? Yeah, really. Oh, anyways, okay, let me read your note. Let me read your note and let me let me catch up. That's wild. Oh my goodness. Thank you for coming in. I love you. Oh. I randomly appeared. I tend to do that. That happens. So I'm not surprised. Oh. Oh. More gear. And then general. Okay, beautiful. Gorgeous. A lot of change recently. Mm-hmm. Positive. Okay. Sharon, what to expect. Ooh. Changes perspective. Mm-hmm. Oh, I love you. All right, let's bring it through. Let's bring it through. So at this time, I ask that you sit in your energy how you need to. May the messages come through in truth, love, elevation, and free in the highest order that there can be. And I give my love, gratitude, and reverence for the spirits that allow me to see in truth, love, elevation, and in free. And I give my love, gratitude, and reverence to you for this spirit that is brought through specifically for who I am channeling through. Thank you for your spirit and how you sit in the spirit true. I see you writing. There's like something fervent. It's something not to prevent. Like sometimes we write because we need to like get out our emotions, or we need to get it out of our system and like prevent something from happening, or strategize, or like calculate. But that's not what this is. This is like I see you writing, and you're writing. It's like, what does that word mean? Let me look that up. Fervent. Having or displaying a passionate intensity. That's what I see. It's like you're writing and you're so excited. You're so excited and you're so like, ooh, thank you, Spirit. You're so excited and it's so, I don't know what you're writing about, but you're so happy, and you're writing and you're writing and you're writing and you're writing and you're writing. And it's like days and days and days. And it's just like a passion project. There's some type of passion, like you're pouring your passion out. There's something about pouring your passion out. It's like you're figuring it out. I see you sitting there and being like, I wonder what this is. I wonder what this is going to be. I wonder. And if you don't wonder and you sit and you go and write, true. If you sit and you go and write and and I see it also by candlelight too. So like giving an offering to you, if you have spirits in your practice that you give an offering to, if that is like the support that you need, but also just giving an offering to yourself, like giving yourself that flame, that spark, that candlelight. Gorgeous, beautiful. I love that for you. Oh, wow. Thank you, Spirit, for bringing this through, and love, truth, elevation, and free in the highest order that there can be. So yes, allowing there to be that like spark, candlelight, writing and writing and writing and writing. And then I see you taking all the pages that you're writing and you fold them up into an envelope, and you like, you know how people like lick the envelope, you like lick the envelope, you seal it, and you send it to your future self. That's really intense. So like writing about what you want in your future, it's like you're writing about, what do you want? where do you want to go? If you're experiencing these changes, it's for a purpose. There is change around you. The spirit of change is one of the spirits of fate. There's fate, there's presence, and there's change. So if you're experiencing change right now, that means that there is fate that's occurring. There's fate that's happening. And so if you're going through change, and we were talking about the vertex placement right before this reading came through, the vertex is a placement of fate in the astrology charts. So when it comes to there being, that's true. When you're experiencing these changes, like, what are you asking for? What are you wanting? And allowing yourself to write it out. Literally writing it out is you grounding it. Your emotions, your mind, you're grounding it, writing it and sending it to your future self. It's like you're not actually literally gonna send it to the future, but like hold on to it, write it down and hold on to it. And you know what that reminds me of? Actually, I'll share a practice with you. This is something I did a while ago, and maybe actually, okay, very true. Yeah, this is something I did a while ago, like years and years ago. I had this journal. I went and picked out this journal very specifically. I didn't realize what I was going to do with it when I got it. I thought I was going to use it as like a normal journal, but I didn't. And I sat and I did this thing called, there's a lot of different names for it, but I called it gratitude journaling, where I would sit and I would write the what I was grateful for in that moment, like things that were happening in my life. Even if I was struggling to be grateful for them, I was like, I can conjure this emotion. I can conjure this gratitude for what it is that's happening in my life right now. And I can sit and have gratitude for it. And like the people I was grateful for and the experiences I was grateful for, the gratitude, I'm so grateful. And then I would sit and I would allow myself to really like dream about what I wanted and where I wanted to be. And I would write my future gratitude. I'm grateful for these now. I'm grateful for this now, but then what am I going to be grateful for when it gets here? And I did that for probably like around 30 days or so. And basically everything has grounded that I wrote. And that was years ago. That was in like 2018, 2019, around that time. And it's 2024. So it's about 5 years. So I've had these groundings. I've had this change, literally grounding it from your head to your heart to the earth will be something that is actually allowing you to ground that experience in the future. And so placing there, like you're going through change, so allowing yourself to create your fate rather than having fate happen. How do I say? Like change is going to happen whether we want it to or not. And so taking an active part in that change means that you are helping to create the reality that you want. Gorgeous. So that's a practice I see you practicing. I also see you need to go spend more time at the ocean. If you're by the ocean, I don't know where you're at currently, but spend more time at the ocean, spend more time in the water, spend more time, like commune, not just spend time there, but like commune with the water, talk with the water. There's conversations that you need to be having with yourself and having with the water and having with the ocean, having with the sea. Like have your conversations. Do you talk things through? There's this healing that's happening for you. And that's something you mentioned in your note too, that you're going through like the removal of trauma. There's these changes happening around you. So allow yourself to go and talk with the ocean. There's these layers that are kind of like coming off of you is what I'm seeing. And every time that you go and you're in the ocean, you're talking with the water and you're talking with the ocean, there's going to be another layer that's like revealed or that you're going to have removed from you, that there's going to be this removal of. It's like a layer that is a shedding layer. You're shedding it. And as you're shedding that layer, you're getting closer to having there be no layers of like this, like holding on to. That's like the layers that I see are layers of holding on to, like the things that you're holding on to, experiences, grudges, pain, trauma. There's just layers of holding on to. And so but it's also what I see is like, it's like a prison almost. Is like there's layers that you're holding on to, possible forms of identity or things that you identify with. And you don't realize you feel trapped inside of it, but you do feel trapped inside of it. Or maybe you do realize that you feel trapped inside of it, but you're going to realize even more how like trapped inside of that you feel once you do start this. So going and like speaking with the water, also giving gratitude and reverence to the water as you feel like you need to, and showing up with love and just allowing that to transform it. What I hear is metamorphosis. And you know what happens within metamorphosis period? Okay, so when a caterpillar goes into a chrysalis cocoon and then comes out a butterfly, they've done studies on what happens in that chrysalis cocoon when there's no butterfly and there's no caterpillar and there is metamorphosis. It literally turns into goop. It's like it literally everything melts and it like becomes just slime. So take your time. If while you're going through metamorphosis, if things are like not making sense or you feel like everything is just jumbled together, that's because metamorphosis is meant to do that for us and to us. So while you're going through this, allowing those layers to be like revealed and peeled off of you. And then there's going to be a renewal. Thank you, Spirit. A renewal. There's going to be a renewal. Oh, so good. Beautiful. Yes. So there's going to be a renewal. What I see is practice this in consistency for 1, 2, 3 months. Literally like 1 to 3 or 1, 2, 3, dependent on like how you're feeling. It's not necessary. There's not like a specific like dead finalization time, but over the next several months, next couple of months, however long you feel like you need to, there's going to be this moment of like, you're going to realize when you're through with that period of time. You're going to realize when you're through with that practice, and you're not going to need to go to the ocean as frequently, or you're not going to need to go to the ocean as often. You're not going to need to be there for yourself like you were needing to be there over the previous months. So you're going to have like this moment of realization. There's also going to be a turn in direction when you reach that position and have that, I hear confirmation. But what I see is confirmation as in like a religious sense. I don't work with religious. Thank you. I love you, Kente. Thank you, Kente. Not in the sense of, I mean, maybe in the sense of religious confirmation. I don't know how you say it in your life, but it seems more like there's a new spiritual journey or a new spiritual aspect of yourself. It's like you're doing this like work with gratitude, the journaling, and then you're also allowing yourself to like go through this healing aspect and this healing phase of yourself. And it's like there's a moment where your eyebrows will raise and you'll be like, that's what I'm meant to do. Purpose, calling. There's a purpose or a calling that's being given to you. So like this gratitude and the ocean, like revealings and healings, it's really preparation and the metamorphosis, like spirit. If you really want to be on the path for you in your spirit and in the spirit, how you're needing to be going through this period of metamorphosis, not only is it going to be easy, it's going to make your life a lot more pleasurable. Like your life is there's going to be more pleasures for you when you open the door to go through this new period and this new calling. There's like a calling that's so you're being prepared to receive a calling, some type of confirmation about your purpose, some type of like you have these feelings about possible purpose or what it could probably be. And there's definitely been like identity. You've identified with some of these things, identified with some of these strings, like the webs that you've been weaving, possibly the strings. There's like identity in it. And you're realizing more about the identity in it. And I love you. I really do. You're realizing more about the identity in it. And there's going to be a moment of confirmation. It's going to be, and it's like, I want to say it's religious confirmation, but it's not. It's not religious confirmation in the sense of like a religious structure, but like spirit is going to come through and confirm something to you. It's something that you're realizing about yourself, something that you're recognizing about yourself, something that you're understanding about yourself, about your power, about your gifts, about your purpose, your calling. There's going to be confirmation. Spirit's going to come through in whenever you're through with this period of gratitude. And that's really up to you about how you're sitting in that and what you are looking for from that and in that. That's true. And then allowing yourself to have that confirmation. There's going to be a realization. I see you like removing yourself from the ocean and like you're leaving the beach or like the sand. You're like leaving there. Like I see you wrapped up in a towel or like you're like very comfortable in yourself. That there's going to be a start of that confirmation coming through. So like allow yourself to go through this metamorphosis period. And now that you know what you need to do, just do what you need to do and like go and brew, as I say in my videos, literally go and brew, like do what you need to do, go and brew. And, and I love you, it's true. And then allow yourself to go through the metamorphosis. And once you reach the end of this like metamorphic period, the confirmation will happen and there's going to be a turn. Like there's a turn. There's not really anything to unlearn, but there's going to be a turn and then it's like a domino effect. There's a lot of things that are going to change in your life. The people you're around, there's, the people you're around, your job, your work, like everything you're feeling is probably going to change. Then there's going to be like a domino effect of change. There's a lot of unexpected change also. It's not just going to be the things that you're expecting. Not unexpected change that's going to like uproot you or cause difficulty. Like you're through with that period of time, and then you're through with that period of your life. It's going to be an unexpected change that is like a happy rearrange. It's going to feel strange. There's lots of flowers I see, lots of mystery. Also, it's like mystery solved, mystery resolved, but also when you're having mystery solved and resolved, there's like more mystery being presented to you. Buy a tarot deck if you need to, or a new one. There's like new tools. New tools are coming through. Remember that tools are not for fools, so just remember how to sit with your tools and remember that they are tools and that they're not for fools. That's true. And what that means for you. Is there any questions that you have? Because that's what I see. It feels like it's going to be fairly easy for you to sit in and go through. It's just the process of experiencing it. That's really exciting. Wow, that's more than exciting. That's really beautiful is what that is. Huh. You have no idea. Beautiful. Oh, so good. So good. That's gorgeous. That's gorgeous. Well, I do a little like closing board, I suppose both, at the end. So if you, God, thank you, 222. Shout out to 222 also with the number coming through. Yeah, so if you don't have any questions, I'll call it through, but let me know if you have questions. I don't have any. Okay, beautiful. Don't have a lot of questions, but I think my biggest struggle at this moment is like womanhood. Like at this point in my life, there's a reason you're meant to go to the ocean. There's a reason you're meant to go to the ocean. Your ocean through devotion. There's revealings on your womanhood. Your ocean through devotion, there's revealings on your womanhood. There's a reason you feel called to go to the ocean. Not just called, like there's reason for the ocean calling on you. That's true. Thank you, ocean. Love you. Yes. There's more. There's no way I can go further with that without getting really specific. Understood. Understand. Yeah. No worries about the. No secrets need to be revealed. Yeah. If you're there's a reason. The ocean. There's mysteries revealed through that work that are now concealed. And sometimes that happens in spirit, honestly. At least, and everybody sits in spirit differently, but I will speak on things I've experienced where it's like I have questions about something and like I can tell that there's going to be revealings about it and there's going to be like healings about it, or I'm going to receive information about it, but I don't know what it is and I don't know how to articulate it or explain it really. And but you feel called to do something, you feel like you need to get, and so allow yourself to go through that experience. And there's a reason that you're asking about it, and also there's a reason that you feel called. They're connected. They go together, and they're meant to go together. I also feel like there's a reason I'm not receiving a lot of words around that. Just allow yourself to receive the experience of it. What a gorgeous, beautiful experience too. There's also going to be like a lot of, it's going to lift your energy going through to the ocean. I love you too. I love you too. It's going to lift your energy. I also see a process of, the word I hear is like beautification. Not that you're not already beautiful, but there's like this process of beautification. It's like the layers that like make you feel dirty almost, and that like is reflected somehow into your image. Those are going to be cleared, and it's going to feel really weird. It's going to feel really weird, and it's going to, like, you're going to feel really weird. It's going to feel weird. So let it feel weird. Let your transformation feel weird. It's going to feel weird. It's going to feel weird. There's going to be times where you look up, like you have 3 weeks, like you have this realization, and then 3 weeks later, you're like, oh, wow, I look like a completely different person because I've, integrated this information, and now it's going to feel really weird. It's going to feel really weird. Just allow it to feel weird. Allow it to feel weird. Allow yourself to be revered in the process. Also allow yourself to be mirrored. Like if you need to look in the mirror at yourself more often for that practice too, that's valid. So, I love the sticky notes too. It's my favorite. Thanks for that. Yeah. Does that make sense? Does that answer your question? I don't want to leave you hanging also. Whew, the whew. Ooh. Yes, the whew, the whew. Yes. It really does. Beautiful, beautiful. Do you have any other questions before we call it through? That's really, honestly, what a powerful practice to come through. What a wow. What, wow. Wow. I've been feeling called to go to the ocean recently too, so I received that as confirmation with the words also. Wow. Okay. Yeah. Yep. Beautiful. Beautiful, beautiful. Wow. Do you have any other questions? You don't have questions. I have to sit with this. That's honestly, I revere that. Sometimes we do need to sit with what we receive. And that is a beautiful thing to sit and receive. And then to have things be relieved. Yes. All right. So let me call it through so that I don't keep channeling on you. So may everything be received how it needs to be, and love, truth, elevation, and free in the highest order that there can be. And thank you so much for supporting me. And I give my love, gratitude, and reverence to you. It's really incredible to have you just randomly be here. What the heck? That is wild. That's wild. That's really... Yep, that's really wild. You're welcome. I love you. If I could give you a hug, I would give you a hug. So I'll give you one through the internet screen that we're both sitting here right now. So good. So good. Oh, thank you. I love my voice too. You know what? Through the years, even before I was doing internet stuff, I was always told that my voice was like made for radio, as people say. So thank you for that. Thank you. Thank you. I'm still in the same place, by the way. Hugs. Hugs to you too. Oh, so good. You mean, how do you mean? You're still in the same place? Or like, I don't know where the same place is. You can always DM me too. Yes. Gorgeous. I love that. Well, yeah, send me a message. Yeah, send me a message. I don't talk about that kind of stuff on my live streams. So send me a message and we can talk about it. Wow. Yeah. Beautiful. Wow. So good. If anyone else is interested and curious and feeling called to sit with me in readings, there are multiple different kinds of readings on the website. There's the channeled reading, which is what you just experienced and witnessed, where I sit and channel through in the spirit for people. There's the astrology question, like ask a question. And that's really based on like the transits, and it's very relative to what's going on in your life and then what's happening in the transits. It's like a quick look at your astrology chart. Then there is also the which is your birth chart. Yep. And then there is what's the other ones? I just changed the names of them today. So then there's astrology practices, which is it's astrology and magic, and that's a combination of like what's happening in the spirit and also the transits as spiritual practices, transits, and astrology, and looking more at like the magic practices of your chart and how those could be applicable to like what you're going through and the current transits that are happening and really like where to focus. And then there's the creative working, which is my favorite, super good. So I sit and I channel, we look at your chart and the transits that are happening. And then we also too, what's the other one? We look at the practices of the chart. So it's like a combination of all three of them. And really like, that's for people who really, really want to sit in a lot of really big change. You want to know like really specific energy about your birth chart, really specific details about the practices, and really specific detail. It's like very, very specific, that one is. So yes. So those are available if you're interested. I would love to sit with you. Yeah. Thank you. I love my articulation too. So you know what? I appreciate those words. Thank you for that. Thank you for that. You're so welcome, Martina. Thank you. Thank you for that. So good. And you know what? I've been receiving so many beautiful messages recently with people like, I've been receiving a lot of gratitude recently about that. So thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. I received it. Thank you. Yeah. Oh, so good. Do I have any movie recommendations? No, I do not. Yeah. Already eyeing the birth chart one. Would love to hear that from you. I love you. I don't think there's anyone, let me double check. I don't think there's anyone sitting in line right now. So if you are here, then we considered it together. Yeah, there's nobody else sitting in line right now. Actually, let me mark these as done. Can I do that? How do I do that? I want to do that. Can I, where's the button for it? Let me, well, you know what? I will do it another time then. Does the birth chart reading include any integrative magic? Integrative. How do you mean integrative? Like, to integrate? Like integrating... I guess if you could expand on that, and I'll be able to give you an answer that is probably a little bit more specific. Integrate, yeah. The integrative magic. So I do focus on practices that are applicable to people's charts specifically, and it could be, yeah, like if you wanted to focus on integrating information or integrating receivings or integrating, there's definitely practices we can look at for that, dependent upon the chart and the, like, the, how do I say, sign alignments. Yeah, there's definitely a way to practice that. I think also it depends on what you're wanting to integrate and how you're wanting to integrate it as well. It depends, but also yes. Yeah. Oh, yes, Sony. So I believe there was 2 people. It was you and someone else who sent me messages. I'm going to start posting or reposting, I suppose, my videos, my live stream videos on YouTube as like live stream replays. So there will be that available for you. I haven't done it yet, which is why I haven't messaged you. I like uprooted a really big chunk of trauma yesterday and did a lot of healing work. And so I just haven't really been as present on the internet because of that. I've had to sit with myself and take some time away from messages and emails and things. So thank you for your patience. And also, yes, that's the update that I have for you. And I will send you a message also when I have it up. I don't remember the day of the reading that you were on, but I'm sitting right here. So it was that one? Yeah, so I'll send it to you. I'll send it to you when it's done. So I'm doing so good. Thank you for that. Yes, I'm doing so good. Also, Jules, which option do I choose for a birth chart reading on the live stream? That one is going to be it's going to be the astrology practices. Either one, the ask a question and astrology practices are both based on your birth chart. I don't have a reading up where we go over every single placement in the birth chart, but the ask a question is more relative to like what's happening in your life and if there's anything that, anything you want to work on or anything you're wanting to change, or if you're looking at certain transits. It could also just be like what I see. And then the astrology practices one, that one is going to be based on your birth chart, and it's going to be again relative to like the transits that are happening and what I see and your questions about what is going on. But it includes the difference between the two is that the astrology practices includes like magic practices, and so looking at very specific, like with your placements, what type of practices are going to benefit you with what's going on in your life, what type of practices are going to benefit you for moving forward, is there any practices that could benefit you with the transits, and it really is dependent upon what you want to look at. Or if some people are just like whatever for me, whatever I see, and that's completely valid too. So if you're interested in just seeing what I see, then I can sit with that too. It's up to you. But yes, so those are the difference between the two. And then the astrology, what is it called? Creative working. That one is we sit in the channeled energy I channel in spirit. And then it's also the astrology practices where we sit in like really specific energy. So yes. I hope that makes sense. If you have more questions, let me know. Yes. Also, thank you for the love. I received that, Yes, healing is a strange thing. It has been a very strange feeling. It is a very strange, yes, beautiful, yes. It's been a very strange revealing. And it's something that happened, it was like right after high school. It was something that happened right after high school. And it was really, really, like there was already some really mucky, yucky stuff going on in my life. And then there was like another really like impactful traumatic event that happened. And I'm not going to get super into the details, but I always knew, I made a video on this earlier too. I was like, I always knew that this was going to be over. I always knew it was going to end. I didn't know what that was going to look like or how it was going to feel or what. And so I've just been processing these emotions of like, oh, wow, this has been happening. Like I've been healing for the previous like 9 years so that I can get to this point right now where I don't feel that anymore. It's crazy. So yes. And I can just purchase it now for a reading on this live. Yes. That's the plan. That's the plan. Yeah. Giving yourself space and time too. Literally spirit, because me as spirit, I love my practice. It's really true. But I was sitting with spirit on Friday because I told some people that I was going to get on live stream on Friday, and I really wanted, like Friday night, and I really wanted to. Like I really try to hold my word when I tell people that I'm going to be doing something. But spirit was like, you need to put your duty down for a day. Why don't you put it down for a day? You need to put it down for a day. So I did, and then that happened, and I was like, oh, makes sense. Got it. Thank you. So, yes. It's been a moment. It's been a big moment for me. I even was feeling like I needed to sit with it more tonight, but I was like, I didn't get on yesterday. I feel like I need to be present with the people tonight too, and like make more space for myself at some point later on, which I make space for myself while I'm holding space also. Like you literally cannot hold space if you're not making space for yourself. So there's that, which is beautiful. And yes. Yeah. Do you plan to eventually open up sessions for going over every placement? I did have one up recently about that on my page. I'm really exploring kind of what the new, how do I say? This is a new era of readings for me. I don't have private readings up right now, and it's a, I'm like figuring out how to best present the information that I'm really good at presenting and also am really like able to articulate for people. It's a transition. Yeah, it is I am in a really, really, like, if I could explain how big of a moment of transition I'm in, I would, but I don't have the words for it. So I am in a really big transition right now. But that also means that there's transition happening with everything that's happening on my internet stuff that I create also. I don't want to call it stuff. Let me put more reverence on it. Like my content, my creations, my art. It is my art, part of my art. And like how I reach people with information is changing, and because I have changed, and so that's kind of part of why I mentioned this earlier. I don't know if you were in the room or not, or in the space or not. But I'm taking a little bit more of a step back and like being a little bit more reserved, because I need the space. That's part of the reason I'm not taking on private bookings anymore right now, is because I need the time and the space to not be on a schedule of like being in bookings with other people. I literally like don't have the capacity for that right now. I do have the capacity to show up for people on live streams when I have the capacity to do that, but I don't know how to plan. I can't plan that. So for now, that's what works for me. And I'm also too, like, I'm going to take a step back from creating content on YouTube. Like for the previous 3 years, like part of that is yeah, yes. I know. I feel like most people who have gotten readings with me recently, are feeling that way. So understood. I feel really elevated. So thank you for that confirmation. Yes, I feel really, and that affirmation, I feel really elevated right now. It feels really good. I feel like that's what I was about to say. I feel like for the previous basically since 2020, like the way I started doing this work, I literally had lost my job and had just gone through another very personal, like impactful, I don't even know, it had to do with the other trauma that I just like plucked out the other night. Not plucked out, it was unrooted it, got the weed out, it's done, let it be over. Thank you, spirit, and thank you, me. That's true. So like doing all of this started in like a fighting energy almost. Not a bad thing. That's where I was at in my life. That's what it needed to be at the time. But I've been in that energy since I started this beautiful, beautiful dream. I'm literally living my dream. So to be able to do that and to not have to fight, don't know what that looks like. and I need some time to recover from the fighting at the same time, and kind of like choose a direction with further inspection internally, and just live life a little bit for a moment also, and not have to worry so much about being in the fighting energy. And it's different. I'm feeling very different recently, and it sounds like a free fall. I don't know that I want a free fall. I have wings now, if we're gonna call it a free fall, metaphorically speaking, you know. So yeah, but definitely the resting period for me is needed, and just kind of like taking a step back and understanding how to, because with everything that's happening with possible TikTok things, and like I know that there's a turn that I'm in, or I'm turning my direction right now, and I think I need to kind of figure out what that looks like, instead of trying to like force myself to be in this project or to do this thing. Like I just want it to naturally happen this time, rather than having to be so like about things. It's different. I feel different. A little scary, but I'm in a position where I'm able to just kind of let it happen. So I'm going to do that. Esmeralda. So if you go to my website under services, there is TikTok live stream readings. And there's a couple different options on there. The first one is a channeled reading, and so that one doesn't have anything to do with the astrology chart, but then the following ones all include your birth chart. So there's more information, and feel free to ask questions too if you have questions. So yes, I've been listening to Breaking Free from High School Musical. Highly recommend. I've definitely been returning to music that I listened to when I was younger recently, and it's been such a beautiful experience. It's been such a beautiful experience, because I've been able to like receive the versions of me that were listening to that music, and not just receive the versions of me who are listening to that music, but also receive the wisdom of those versions of me, and basically be like, hey, we made it over here. Like, we're out of where you were there, and like what you wanted there now exists over here where I am. Crazy. So that's been, shout out to listening to music from younger versions of ourselves, because I feel that. I feel that. Oh my goodness. Wow. I look like I'm in a different headspace. Thank you. I feel it. Thank you. Also, someone just sent through for a reading. So yes, thank you. I feel like I'm in a different headspace. Grateful I look like I'm in a different headspace. Yes. And I've been taking better care of myself recently too. Like I put together a whole skincare routine for myself. I've started oiling my hair. I feel really good about it. It feels good. Yeah. Sometimes you do just need to remember how to breathe. That's true. You know? Oh, I'm being called to let you know. I wouldn't mind. Oh, thank you for that. Thank you. I'm grateful for that. I do want to just have them be finished also. I don't really want to reschedule anything, and I'm really, really grateful for your words also. If I need to on the day, if it comes to the fact that I just need to rest, then I will do that. But I also too, I can see the light, the end. I guess it's not the light at the end of the tunnel, but like I can see the finish line. There's only a couple more weeks of readings that I have, and it's really not even like it's not, my books are, I made sure that it wasn't like, to get it done. Yeah, exactly. So that's how I feel about it. That is what it is. Yeah. Also, for Jules, do you prefer Julia or Jules? Let me know. Yes. Look at the third house stellium. Gorgeous. All right, give me a moment to put your information in. Oh, so good. So good. So good. Yes, definitely to get it done, girl. And I'm excited for the done, because I don't know. It's like, I don't know what comes after that. I'm a little bit, actually, I don't think I've thought about that yet. That might make me cry too. Maybe I don't need to process that right now. That is going to be, but I'm going to sit with it as I need to. That's true. Thank you, Spirit. Yeah, I definitely, how do I say? Actually, before I put that information in, that is, I don't ever think I've had a reinvention period where I've had time to figure it out. Not completely true, but also that's crazy to think about. Interesting. I'm kind of excited to see what happens. I feel like I might just do something a little bit crazy. Not in a bad way. Crazy as in like very different than I expect of myself. Wonder what it'll be. I wonder what it'll be. Oh, right before Jupiter moves into Gemini. Yes. And you know what? I'm excited for that to happen because Gemini is my rising sign, which means that Jupiter is about to cross over my space of ushering in. I'm about to usher in something pretty big. I'm excited about it. I'm excited for it, you know? Also, thank you, Logan. Also, I don't know, Jules, I don't know if you heard my question for you, or maybe I missed it. I don't know if you sent in. Do you prefer Jules or Julia? That's my question. That's my first question for you. That's my first question for you. If you're back in the room. And if you're not, then you wouldn't hear me. But if you are, let me know. And if you would send me a message also to let me know that you are, you have returned, yeah. So what's the difference in the info that I would get between the 111 and the 202? So the 111 is based on my wisdom and my experiences and the information that I have as kind of like a magic encyclopedia. The 222 one is going to be like we're sitting in spirit, we're calling in a channeled reading, including astrology, including my encyclopedia of wisdom, including the current transits. So the 111 is... it's really like in-depth info about practices that could benefit you, that are probably going to benefit you. And then bringing in the 222 is going to really sit in the alignment of spirit. There could also be, not that we're not in the alignment of spirit, but it will channel directly from your energy, and also sitting in the spirit channeling of it. So that's really the big difference. And then there's also too, like when I sit and I have channelings in spirit, it's very vision based for me. So there could also be some messages that come through in that reading that are more vision based. Sometimes those are, if you look at the channeled reading, there's more information on that one too. Sometimes they're more, how do I say, symbolic. Sometimes they're like more metaphorical. Sometimes they're very literal. And so the creative working, it's literally meant to put together a work or a workings based on your placements and based on what's happening in the transits. And if there needs to be like set up dates for the future, sometimes there are, sometimes there aren't. It really just depends. And so that's the really big difference, is that one of them, the 222, sits in the very big channelings of spirit. It's for you're going to sit and do a work, call on the spirit. The 111 is for sitting with your spirit and sitting with yourself and practices that can benefit you based on your placements and the transits that are happening. So, and both are done on live stream. Yes, they're both done on live stream. I hope that answers your question. And if you have more, please let me know. Please let me know. Also, there was another one that just came in. So right now we have Jules, and then I'll look to see the name of the other reading that came through in a moment. Yes, but for now, I want to make sure that I get Jules' information in. Yeah. Because I'm not... I want to be better. Maybe that's what... Because, words are spells. I would like to be better. I am going to be better at multitasking, where I can talk and put in this information at the same time. Multitasking is easy. Do you think if I affirm that to myself, it will work? Probably. Multitasking is easy. Beautiful. Yes, Jules, beautiful. Do you prefer Jules or Julia? Let me know. Does it say I purchased one? Yes. Yeah, I'm getting your information in now too, so that we can sit and talk about it. And let me go back and read your note, actually. You say your third house stellium? Gorgeous. That's true. As well as how Pluto will affect me over the next 20 years. Gorgeous. I love that. So third house stellium. When you say your third house stellium, are you talking about your Aquarius placements? Let me know. Let me know. Yes, beautiful. Also, Julia, you paid twice. Do you want me to refund one of those? Because you have 2 orders with me right now. So I definitely can. Yeah, because astrology chart, and then I don't know if you meant to pay twice, but you did pay twice. So do you want me to refund you one of those? Because I will. What sort of reading am I doing now? This one is the ask a question. So this is like relative based on the chart and the question that is being presented, or questions. OMG, stop. Are you serious? Yes. Yeah, so do you want me to refund? I'm assuming that was an accident that you sent through both of those. Also, yes, you're welcome. Do you want me to return one? Because I can, and I will. Because I don't think you meant to do that twice. So I will do that if you like affirm it. Yes, please. Yes, I will. Okay. Allow me a moment to get that done. Yes, okay. Beautiful. All right, so let us go and look at your chart. Also, too, no, you're all right. No worries. I wondered because you weren't in the chat for a while, so yeah, it's how do I say? Yeah, no worries. All right, so for your chart, if you are used to using a whole house system, then it makes sense why you would have this, how do I say, the stellium in your 3rd house. With the Placidus system, though, it's in your 2nd house. And the Placidus system, the reason that happens is because the Placidus system, it doesn't line up with the very like edges of the zodiac signs. It also expands some of the houses and contracts some of the houses, dependent upon like your location on the earth when you're born, and the like perception and reception of the different areas of those zodiac signs, and how we are able to sit and receive them at the time where you're born on the earth. So the house structure is a little bit different. In the Placidus system, I have that Aquarius stellium in your 2nd house. And so just a heads up before I keep going, it is a different house system than the whole house system, if that's the one that you're used to. So speaking on that stellium, that's a really intense stellium that you have. And then also, that is what Pluto is crossing over for you. So you have Venus, the moon, Neptune, Mercury, and the sun, which you also have a Mercury and a Neptune conjunct. And that's crazy too. Your Uranus is ruled by Neptune. So that's a reflection actually, because you have Uranus is what rules Aquarius, and then you have your Neptune ruled by Aquarius, and that's what rules Pisces, and your Uranus is in Pisces. So you have a reflection that's happening between them, which means that your spiritual sight and the communication of your spiritual sight, because it's your Mercury and your Neptune are conjunct, the communication of that is reflected with where you're doing things differently and like your big innovative ideas. You're actually someone who benefits from sitting in the spirit and talking in the spirit and communicating in the spirit. So this could be channelings or like divination, or the sight, like being a seer is a gift for you, and being able to communicate that is also a gift for you. And then that also too, like with your spiritual gifts, you're meant to really sit at your spiritual sight, your spiritual gifts, your spiritual practice. And 2, the 3rd house is about communication. So that's another reflection of that Mercury-Neptune conjunction. Wow, beautiful. You're meant to be someone who speaks words in the spirit and like talks in the spirit. It's also a resource that you have. The 2nd house has to do with our resources. And the 2nd house being our resources, the 8th house is how they're exchanged, which we probably won't get to in this reading because it is just the one question. And with the stellium, that's pretty dense. And with Pluto going over it, it's pretty dense. But it is the resource, like your 2nd house is a resource in the 8th house. It's like if your resource, say that you have a fish and you're going to exchange that at the market for some cash, that resource would be the fish, and then the exchange process would be how they are exchanged between one or more persons, 2 or more people. So 2nd house, your resource. So probably overarching big picture before we get into the details, I got kind of excited about that conjunction. Overarching big picture with the details, Pluto moving through Aquarius for you is really going to ask you to figure out how you're surrounding the energy of your resources. So with all your placements here, Venus, that's the giving and the receiving process. Your moon, which moon in the second house also has your emotions as a resource. So being able to create emotional space for people, your emotions being a resource. So like the way that you talk about your emotions or being able to create emotions. This is also a very like artistic placement, having a moon in the second house, because you're able, and in Aquarius too, because Uranus is literally the artist. Like that is the artist planet. It's our genius ideas. It's like our being creative. Uranus is the artist. And so that's true. Okay, beautiful. How are you surrounding your creativity? This is what Pluto in Aquarius is going to ask you. How are you bringing life to your creativity? And how does your creativity bring life to you? And how does that create change in your life? And what is your power of that? When it comes to, that's also true. What is your power of that? Power is defined in many different ways. We have a power within ourselves, but then also we root in the power of other things. So when it comes to these placements of the Venus, the giving and the receiving process, a lot of the times we talk about Venus as only receiving, but we have to have the balance of giving and receiving. There has to be something given for us to be able to receive. And so the process of giving and receiving, what does this look like for you? Also too, as you're working through creatively being able to bring life to something, because Aquarius is the water bearer, it's the life bringer. So then what are you receiving because of that? As you're pouring life into your creative projects or you're pouring life into a creativity, also that's a resource that people are going to ask for of you. And as Pluto moves through this, learning how to protect these placements is also really important. So learning, because Pluto has to do with our contractual exchanges. So as you're having contractual exchanges with people, when it comes to your resources, and again, like the second house is your resource, the eighth house is their exchange. Eighth house is also modernly ruled by Pluto. Yours is not Pluto influenced, other than the Pluto reflection of our modern astrology. But you also have your moon placement. That's true. Curious. So your moon placement here allows you to sit with your artistic vision in an emotional space. And then you have, again, the Neptune and the Mercury, being able to speak in the spirit. This also too is like the words of poetry, and the words of your words are going to have more meaning as Pluto crosses over this. Your words are going to have more meaning, and they're going to hold more weight with people. And so learning what the power of your words is going to be really important as well. Learning how your words give power to people and also take power away from other people, because it goes in both directions. So how do your words give power to people, and how do your words take power away from people? Being really aware of that dynamic is going to be really important, especially because you have this strong conjunction of Mercury and Neptune together, and then the reflection of that Uranus placement in Pisces, and having those rulers have a reflection and exchange with each other through their placements. You're also going to be within your sun aspect. What is the power of how you shine, and how is that a resource? Your truth, this literally means that your truth and your authenticity is going to be a resource for you. And as Pluto crosses over this resource, people are going to ask you for that resource. So if we're going over your placements here in this house, people are going to ask you for the resource of being able to give and receive that Venus, the giving and the receiving. And Venus in Aquarius is the process of giving and receiving to activate that motion of giving and receiving, and the receiving through giving and the giving through receiving. So the, again, contractual obligations of Pluto. while it's an Aquarius, there has to be a big idea. There has to be creativity that's involved in that. You have to think about your Venus placement creatively, doing things different, doing it differently than you've done before, doing it differently than the trends, doing it differently than other people, doing it differently than your family, doing it differently than other people who are in your field and in your like your career field, doing it differently. If you're able to do it differently and have that big creative idea, then you're going to be able to sit in the giving and the receiving process. That's your process of creation for giving and receiving. That's a resource, which means people are going to ask you for it. Venus is also about worth. So learning what that's worth is going to be, and let's back it up for a moment. Pluto, the power of Pluto, it's all about your specific decisions. It's about your will. What do you want? And not just what do you want, but what are your decisions leading you to? It literally, Pluto, the power of Pluto is the power of our will. So there's a lot of placements here that this transition for you over the next 20 or so years, this transition for you while Pluto's in Aquarius is going to be really, really focused on creating more resource for yourself, and what are you willing to give up for that? What are you willing to exchange for that? What are you willing to give to your resource so that you're then able to exchange it for other people? Say that, especially with the Mercury here, like your voice notes could become a resource for you, as like silly as that sounds, but like that's true. That could be something that happens. So really focus on, well, before I keep going, let me ask if you have any questions, because that's like a general overarching picture of what you're going to experience through this transit, and like the details of some of the placements too. But that's also like, there's a lot of general things happening. So do you have any other questions? I don't want to overwhelm you with information either. So do you have any questions about any other specific, and thank you, Spirit, that's true, any other specificness within this space? Yeah. And we can go through it. We can go through it. Tell me maybe how it could have affected your childhood. Yes. And it's curious that you would ask about that. Let me go back to the chart. You have your Chiron is at 28 degrees in Capricorn. So Pluto literally just left. And I wonder if their transit, I don't know how far back Pluto's retrograding into Capricorn, but let me go and look, actually. Allow me a moment while I figure that out to see how far back it's going to retrograde. It looks like it's only going to get to 29 degrees. So I don't think it's going to be conjunct with that placement. Yeah, it's only going to be at 29 degrees. It's still pretty close though. Pluto going over Chiron. Chiron is about, it's the wounded healer. So anything that you could have experienced in your childhood around your resources and like possible poverty, not having enough resource, being in systems of lack of resource, or it could be like your systems of resource were not actually what you needed. Like you had a plentiful and abundant amount around you, but it wasn't what you needed. And so there could be a differentiating possible wound there also. Look to see how that affected your childhood, because that is the placement here in your second house that is asking you to return and heal and relearn. And during the Pluto retrograde, you're going to go almost to this placement as Pluto is returning to the Capricorn energy. So when it comes to Chiron, if you're able to, and this is more of like this is a tool. This is a tool. Tools are not for fools. So don't sit in this if you don't feel like you are ready to, because it does require that you are sitting in a healing energy and like you're holding space for yourself. It is work. It's work. So just a heads up that it is work. With that, Chiron placement, if you're able to return to your resources, the systems of your resources, not having the resources that you needed, having your resources taken from you, the lack of resource generally speaking, and the details of that, because it's Capricorn, which is Saturn, so details, and also possibly too how people could have stolen that from you, or like the theft of it. Study the tools that were used against you and not just the feeling of it. We have to sit and feel and heal and like work through the feeling and the healing of it. But when it comes to Chiron and the dark moon too, but the Chiron in this moment for you in your chart, while you're sitting and feeling through it and healing through it, if you're able to go and return to study how people were weaponizing their tools against you, and you learn what those tools are, and not only learn what those tools are, but you're able to identify them and point them out to yourself, then not only are you receiving your power from that situation, because when we're wounded, we experience pain, we experience loss of innocence, and those are offerings from you. And in spirit, at least how I practice, nothing comes for free, which means if you're making an offering of, even if it's pain or loss of innocence with the Chiron and the dark moon placement, even if it's pain or loss of innocence, even if you were put in a situation where you didn't mean to offer those things, but it ended up happening anyways, that's still your offering, which means you get to receive something from it. So by going back and studying the tools that have been used against you from where you were wounded, you're receiving what that offering was giving to you. And by doing that, you not only call your power back to you, but you take away the power from the people who hurt you. So that is the childhood affect of this that I would sit in. This Pluto retrograde is really gonna offer you, especially too with everything that we have going on with Chiron being conjunct, well, it was conjunct our North Node, and just having this really big Chiron influence right now that we don't normally see. We don't normally have like a really big Chiron moment, but we have a really big Chiron moment happening right now in our astrological transits, and like the healing and the revealing of those Chiron like wounds. It's not super fun to sit in. Definitely worth it though. And having this Pluto retrograde be in effect over our next eclipse season also, this is definitely like the next 6 months is a really beautiful time to sit and feel through what you need to, heal what you need to, allow yourself the space, and don't race yourself either, embrace yourself. Allow yourself the space to really work through that. If you want to like dedicate some time to shadow work and to inner child work, that could really be helpful. Yeah, that's what I would focus on if you wanted to look at your inner child work. And also too, by doing that work, I feel like this is the final thing I'll say, and then we can do a check-in and call it through. With Capricorn is Saturn ruled. Aquarius is Saturn ruled, and it's Uranus ruled. So if you're able to, while Pluto is retrograding through this transit, like through its retrograde, if you're able to sit in the healing and the revealing of those wisdoms, you're probably going to, in your Saturn energy, set yourself up and really sit with the emotional space of it too. If you're able to do that, you're going to set yourself up for a little bit easier Pluto and Aquarius transit. This Pluto and Aquarius transit is going to be asking a lot from you because of how many placements you have in Aquarius, but that doesn't necessarily need to be a bad thing. Just be really attentive to power, your decisions, and the decisions, how is power being offered to you through your decisions, and pay attention for yourself also if you wanted to look at your current, like the current astrology or the astrological transits that are happening, anything that's going to be Scorpio related and anything that's going to be Scorpio related, Pluto and Aquarius related, so the Aquarius transits, those are probably going to be times where there's a lot of highlight on these, this stellium that you have. And so just paying attention to really like when that directness kind of comes up for you. Also the other thing, Pluto, when you're experiencing those transits, sometimes, at least for me, sometimes I'll experience one on one day and then there won't be any information for another like day or two to come through, because Pluto is the slowest. It moves very slowly compared to a lot of the other transits that we experience. So sometimes we need the extra time to have the information come through over a time period. So again, just be patient with yourself as you're learning the lessons. But that would be what I would focus on with childhood affect. And I feel like that is probably enough / a lot of homework, because that's six-ish months of homework to sit in, and also to just like, how do I say, while you're sitting in that, give yourself the patience. Chiron is in a great placement right now with Aries to, how do I say? Chiron is in a great placement right now with Aries to look at inner child work and to look at inner child healing. So it'll naturally kind of come up for you as you're working through this. Spending more time in your home and in your private life is going to be helpful for that, and not spending as much time out with friends. So if you're feeling like you need to sit and heal, or you're feeling a blockage, then sitting in your home space and your private space is really going to be a place of safety for you for that. It probably won't be super easy to sit with friends and work through this. This is probably going to be a journey that you take on by yourself. Not a bad thing. It's definitely something that it's a worthy endeavor if you decide that it's going to be. So, yes. Do you have any other questions for me? And you're going to get through it. It's going to be a beautiful transit. You're going to get through it, and it's going to be a beautiful, beautiful, beautiful transit. That's how I feel about it. That's how I feel about it. I love Pluto, though, so that's my... Oh, wow. Yes, we're going to sit and we're going to channel, and it's going to be great. I'm going to turn the other sessions off. Allow me a moment for Esmeralda. That's beautiful. Yeah, whenever the big ones come through, we're going to sit and ground. So let me turn the other ones off for a moment. Yay. Yes. Beautiful. I'm so excited. This is literally my favorite session. And it's like, it's not only a gift financially to be able to receive this, but it's also a gift for me to be able to sit and it's my favorite. It's my favorite. It's a gift to receive it in many different aspects and regards. So thank you so much for that. That's beautiful. One ahead, right? Yes. Yeah. I'm going to wrap up with Jules, which also, Jules, do you have any more questions? Is there anything else that you want to sit with? Is there any other clarity that you need? You let me know. And then we will sit together, but I do need to go and turn off. I'm closing the list for anyone else who's in the room. I'm closing the list because the one with Esmeralda is more than likely, I know I'm going to be done after it. And also I'm not exactly sure how long it's going to take. Probably a good chunk of time. Orderly chunk of time. That's true. So yes, you're so welcome. And good luck to you. It's gonna be a beautiful transit. It's gonna be definitely like last word of advice, because you have so many placements in your Aquarius energy. Last word of advice: don't let other people steal from you. And if you're paying attention, because you've obviously looked at your chart before, otherwise you wouldn't know that you had a stellium there. So if you're going and like studying those placements and getting like fine tune your wisdom of those placements over the next 20 years and what they do for you, because Pluto's going to ask that you make sure that nobody can screw you over. Pluto's going to ask that you make sure that you become really powerful in those placements and that you're not giving your power away to other people. That's the only way really that Pluto ends up being harsh for us, is if we end up giving our power away or someone takes it from us, and then we have to direct our energy to correct them, and then also invigorate us and like re-elevate us or like give back to ourselves. So learning how to protect those, and like you have to understand how powerful they are for you to be able to protect them. And so that's my other word of advice, is just like be patient with yourself, and also over the next 20 some years start to pay attention to how those transits affect you, because it's different to talk about the idea of it versus like the lived experience of it. So just look at the transits and really like through the next 20 years, which is a long time to study that, through the next 20 years, and like get really in tune with it. And you're probably going to come out the other side looking like a completely different person. I mean, it's 20 years, so yeah. And also there's probably a lot of really, really great things that are going to happen in the middle of it too. So good luck. Yeah. Good luck. And may everything be received in love, truth, elevation, and free in the highest order that there can be. And thank you for supporting me. So good. Okay, Esmeralda. I need to turn these off. That's what I was doing there. That's where I was going with this. So allow me to do that. We're closing the list, which means I need to close the ability to send me this money in this current moment. We are going to put, yep, do. Beautiful. All right, let me save this. Save. Cute. And then allow me to go and return to your chart. Here we go. So good. Beautiful. And that is on. Let me pull up the other aspects also. All right, and then let me go read your note. Better understand my practice to support myself for humanity's highest timeline itself. That's gorgeous. You are a beautiful being, and that is a beautiful question. So before I call through for you and for me too, I want to just familiarize myself with the chart for a moment. All right, let's call it through. So, actually, before I do that, Esmeralda, are you ready to sit in a reading space with me? I just want to double check and make sure that we're here together on the same page. Yes. And if yes, yes, and thank you. You are welcome, and thank you too. Beautiful. So, at this time, I ask that the messages that come through from me for you, Esmeralda, are true in love and truth and elevation and free in the highest order that there can be. May there be simplicity, completion, direction, and inspection. And may there be possibility and framework that is true for you in love, truth, elevation, and free in the highest order that there can be. Gorgeous. Let's start with the MC, because you were talking about like your what did you say? Your highest purpose, your highest timeline, and self. Better understand practice to support yourself and humanity's highest. So yes, let's start with the MC, because the MC is the most public. It's the most visible thing, most visible space, not a thing. I guess it is a string, that's true. It's the most visible string, it's a space. You also have your Mars basically conjunct. It's 1 degree off of your MC. So anything that you are doing within your public image and your public space is going to be a race, because everybody's going to see you claiming victories. How curious. It's going to be an embrace for you, but other people are then going to, the MC. It's the, what is it called? Let me pull up the actual name of it. It's a little bit longer. MC, it's the Midhaven, but there's like another name for it too. MC full name astrology. It's the Medium Coeli. Coeli. I hope I pronounced that correctly. The Medium Coeli, or the Midhaven, the MC. So a little bit more about the astrology chart. So it's a circle, and then we have the rising sign, and we have the descendant sign. The rising sign is the east horizon, and then when you're born, and then the descendant is the west horizon. So they're flip-flopped on the chart. Normally we put the west on our left and then the east is on our right, but in astrology the west is on the right and the east is on the left. So they're flip-flopped. But then there's the MC and there's the IC, and the MC is your public, very, very, very seen. It's the highest point in the sky when you're born. So it's like the most visible portion of where the astrology is at when you're born is right there. And then the IC is what's directly beneath that. And yes, beautiful. Okay, got it. The IC is like directly beneath that. And so it is like the most private part of your life. But let's start with the MC because that's where it needs to be, about like how to support yourself and humanity in the highest timeline. Gorgeous, beautiful. I love that. So as you're working with any time that you're having victory in your life, you're going to be seen within your public image. So that could be victory. It could be victory in your private life. It could be victory. Also, anytime you need to strategize about victory with your friends, victory with your partnership, victory with your work, victory with your money, anytime that there's victory, because Mars is not just about strategy, it's about claiming our victories and how we have our victories. So anytime that you're having your victories, and this could be victory, so say that you wanted to put together like a group effort or some kind of group activity, the victory of that is going to be very visible. So even though it's in Scorpio, this is going to be something where it's going to be a little bit more difficult to hide your secrets from people. Scorpio is normally very good at having the layers of secrecy and keeping things private. But with your Scorpio being so visible and having your MC in Scorpio, the privacy and the transformations that you go through are going to be fairly public. But that's meant to be there because you're meant to be seen as someone who is a transformer. Makes some sense. Beautiful. So you're meant to be seen as someone who is a transformer. And just like I was saying this earlier, actually, I do need some water before I continue. Like to be a healer, we have to be someone who goes through things so that we're able to heal. So probably throughout your life, you have gone through and probably will continue to go through things that you need to grow through. So things that you're allowing yourself to transform from. Also, this means that people, when you're in, because it goes over your 10th house. So anytime that you're in your public image and you're in the public eye, there's not going to be an easy way to lie. So getting really, really accepting of your truth, not that you haven't done that, but having that be very like, before you go into any situation, like there could be a different truth on different situations or different groups that you're in or different circumstances or different medical receivings is what I'm hearing also. So when it comes to medical receivings being like health and wealth, and medical receivings also being like any type of field or career when it comes to medical. That's very interesting. Medical. Why medical? Medical receivings. There being any type of medical receivings. Also, like not just the health and wealth of you, but having that that theme has been very clear. Gorgeous, beautiful. Thank you, Spirit, for bringing it through. Also, another interesting aspect of this is that you have your Venus and your Uranus are 1 degree apart also. So they're basically have never been able to lie. That it makes sense that you're not able to, because everybody sees the truth of you with the MC in Scorpio. Everybody's able to see your secrets with the MC in Scorpio. Yeah. And two, with it going over, that's what I was saying before I got to the Venus and the Uranus. Thank you, Spirit, that's true. Having a Scorpio 10th house, because 10th house has to do with our hierarchies. It's not just about the hierarchies that we have in our like government structures or political structures or within like our jobs, or like 10th house is also our inescapable systems. And so having the 10th house be ruled by Scorpio means that your hierarchical structures are things that normally other people don't look at. So like if you're able to know, let's use the job as an example. If you are a manager above a team of people, so you are the one above the hierarchy, or in the hierarchy. Granted, there's probably another person above you, and then there's like the whole business entity that like encapsulates the whole thing, but even that is a part of the bigger like government structure. So that's a part of the 10th house, is like we can't escape hierarchy. Hierarchy though, so we're going to use a simple example, not the super expanded example. Simple example of you're a manager over a team of people. Always been a student of power structures. I love it. So the power structure being like, yes, you're a manager and that is a hierarchy over the team, but also look at the indirectness of that power. And what do I mean by that? Like, if you're a manager above other people, then looking at the spirit. Thank you, spirit. Looking at the spirit of the hierarchy, the impact of all the energies, that's a gorgeous way to put that. I don't know that there's a way to like directly articulate that, but if you understand what I'm saying, then that's beautiful. Also too, you have your, oh, how interesting. You have your Mercury. Because if we're looking at the other Scorpio placements in your house too, or like in your structure, the 8th house is modernly ruled by Scorpio, and you have a Scorpio stellium, you have an 8th house stellium, modernly ruled by Scorpio, in Virgo, with your vertex, your Saturn, your Mercury, and your North Node. You also have your Sun in this house, but it's in Libra. So this is really like the art of exchange is something that is really, really apparent in your chart. You have how many placements? 4, 8, 9. You have 9 placements that are in there's there's the fortune placement also, but 9 placements, not including the fortune placement in the 8th, 9th, and 10th house that are Scorpio, Pluto influenced. So the art of exchange is something that is really, really, and the art of exchange too. Where's your Pisces at? That's the South Node, and that's how you have your resources. So that's really beautiful. So let's talk about offerings for a moment. Do you have experience with offerings in the spirit, or offerings like if you have like I don't need details, but just for reference of like so I'm able to reach you with like applicable information. Do you have experience with offerings, or offering in the spirit, or offering like making offerings to candles, prayer? Beautiful. So having there be offerings for the spirit, that's literally a resource for you. Your 2nd house is about your resources, and that's where Pisces is for you. So there's probably, actually with Saturn moving through Pisces right now, there's probably a lot of different practices that you're bringing in that are offering more resource for you. And the chanting, gorgeous. Thank you for the information, and thank you for sharing. That your South Node is here. So this is something that's really easy for you to do. You naturally are someone who moves through the spirit and makes offerings. Like, that is literally the resource that you offer to people, is being able to be a resource in the spirit, to be able to, that's really gorgeous. It's like, how do I say, what I see in the spirit of it is to have like your ability to make offerings on the behalf of other people. Maybe not necessarily on the behalf of other people, but it is kind of. It's like it involves you, but you're doing it for other people too. One of the things are like giving offerings to the spirits of the land, especially too because your 8th house is Virgo. Wow. Okay, so let's talk about that. Having an 8th house, and that's where your Saturn is. So there's details being brought to those practices right now. So Virgo it's not just our indirect information. It's not just like how our body communicates, or like body language. It's also about our earth information. So like how our body integrates information, how the land integrates information, and like the vibration that carries information. How do you integrate that? That has to do with Virgo. So the fact that you have your 8th house with Virgo means that anytime that you're interacting with that indirect communication of earth information, integration, there's an exchange happening. So when you're making these offerings in the spirit, there is an earth information integration. If you really wanted to, because part of the practice of Scorpio is understanding for you the process of hierarchies. Understanding how you are sitting within spiritual hierarchies is going to become something that's really important. If you haven't already started to study that, that's something that probably needs to be studied. The information about spiritual hierarchies, whether that's cultural spiritual hierarchies, religious spiritual hierarchies within your practice, also spiritual hierarchies even between like you and the food that you're eating, and how you're greeting that hierarchy is really important, because the Saturn, that's true, your Saturn is in Virgo, your rising sign is Capricorn. So literally when you're ushering in, that's gorgeous. When you're ushering in, so ushering in through your practices, ushering in, how do I say? Ushering in your practices, ushering in your, anything you wanted to usher in. If you're ushering in new life for yourself, if you're ushering in an opportunity, if you're ushering in information, anything that you would need to be ushering in, then looking at the very specific details of indirect information earth integration. That's kind of a mouthful, but you know what? with a Mercury in Virgo and your Saturn in Virgo, that verbiage makes sense. So the indirect information earth integration, if you're able to study that and understand what it is that you need in the details of that earth information integration to usher it in. All right, so let's talk about actually like herb magic or food magic or having relationships with the spirits and the physical, because that is how you're able to exchange like offering in the physical. So offering within the spirit is your resource. That's the second house. You're really good at that. Your North Node is in Virgo though. So you're learning the skills of how to do that in the physical, and learning about the, like throughout your lifetime. You probably have already learned many skills of this through your lifetime of doing this. But there's a lot of purpose and calling in that, being the North Node, of being able to give those earth information integrations as offerings. And when you do that, because of your rising sign, you usher things in. And so there's this beautiful kind of like back and forth that's happening between those placements. So really getting in, this is a practice and a study for you for, you could look at things that have already happened, but what I hear is the future, like looking at this going forward in the future. So say that you're sitting in the South Node energy and you're feeling really called in the spirit to bring in something for yourself and possibly for other people. What is it that you are asking for? And also Pisces has to do with transition. So what are you leaving behind? Where's your Neptune? Your Neptune is in Sagittarius in the 11th house. So if you're able to find like your old mark, your old direction, your old, like what you used to do, your goal, your end goal, your old end goal. If you're looking at your old end goal, even if you haven't reached it yet, it's some cases you will have reached it. Sometimes you will not have. Also, this is very connected to your social situations. So there's probably actually a lot of information spiritually that comes through for you that helps to expand you while you're in social settings. And this is like you're walking down the street and randomly you overhear somebody's conversation. You didn't even mean to listen to them, but they're giving information that you're able to hear, and it just like makes sense to you. You're like, oh yeah, I was definitely supposed to be there to hear that at the exact time that I was there. That's really beautiful. Also, thank you, Spirit. That's true. Also, too, if you're ever in situations, because your Jupiter rules that Sagittarius, and Jupiter for you is in your 7th house. So anytime that you are able to move in your heart space with your partner or in an intimate reflection. So that could be an intimate reflection with you, because 7th house has to do with mirror magic. And Libra also is a part of, as Libra modernly rules the 7th house, but right now with the South Node in Libra, we're getting really, really, really good at having those intimate reflections and what that looks like, and receiving and giving, and the receiving and the giving, and the receiving and the giving. And yes. Ooh. So as you are working with receiving these messages, as you're working with receiving these messages in those social situations, if you're ever with your intimate partner, or it's like clear and obvious that other people are intimately reflecting, or it's like another partnership, it could be that you are going through an intimate reflection within yourself as well. There's going to be even more information that comes through with that. So there's also, is that a triangulation? Yeah, that's it. Yes. So having that triangle, wow, that's a really beautiful happening. You're able to really like bounce through the spirit, bounce through as you need to. It's like a really easy transition between your spirit, thank you, spirit, between your spirit and your intimate reflection and your social circles and your spirit. It would honestly really benefit you to start doing candle work in front of a mirror. That's what I hear. Start doing candle work in front of a mirror. Let the mirror be clear. Okay, so this is a work that's coming through. If you're able to clear the mirror, so that looks any type of cleaning supply, not any type of cleaning supply. If you're able to clear your mirror, how that looks like is up to you, but clear the mirror. Clear your mirror and allow it to be clear. And as you're clearing the mirror, something very specific, this direction is very specific. As you're clearing the mirror, don't look at yourself in the mirror. Clear the mirror, don't look at yourself in the mirror, because as you're clearing the mirror, if you clear the mirror, to be very specific about it, if you're clearing the mirror and you look at yourself while you're clearing the mirror, then you are going to be you're going to be in a reflection that's being cleared, and that can cause things to be a little weird if you're going to like it's not going to, it'll be a transition of clearing if you look at yourself through that practice. So if you're looking at yourself, then there's going to be the reflection of, okay, beautiful. I feel like I'm talking in circles. So thank you for the understand. So don't look at yourself. You also too, if you're able to, and this is one of the warding practices that I practice, there's not like a specific direction, and don't have it require further inspection or introspection. Just allow your hands. Sometimes I'll close my eyes, and that would ward internally also. If you're looking in the mirror, just don't look in your eyes, and there will be things to realize. Just don't look in your eyes. So while you're clearing the mirror, you can also like draw like grids, or they're wards. Drawing wards, draw grids or shapes, or just like having these different. I allow myself to forget that completely. Like I do not remember that order very specifically, so that my memory cannot be accessed. So have those wards undone, but you're able to, thank you, spirit, that's true. You're able to do that, and that wards it while you're clearing it also, which means that ward is going to be a cleansing ward. Beautiful. And then before you cut a cord ward, that's for another part of your practice. Cord cutting, I don't do cord cutting normally in that sense. I see like how people do the candles and there's cords, but if you do cord cutting at any point, before you do a cord cutting ward, ward before and ward after, if necessary, but definitely ward before, ward the practice, ward the space. There's more to embrace with warding at your pace. There's things you're going to learn about that warding space and returning that warding to other spaces in your practice. Beautiful. And then lighting a candle, bringing in a candle, because you say you already incorporate. So it's like elevating the practices that you had, because you already incorporate the chanting, the candles, the prayers. And so as you are bringing in the candle, your face is the face that stares. There's expansion through this. There's also good luck through this. The reason the candle needs to be brought into the mirror is because your 7th house is ruled by Leo. You literally reflect through fire. You reflect through think higher. It's not that you do reflect through fire. Fire is a mirror for you, and so to be able to put that in front of a mirror also is going to create a double layer of mirror, and Jupiter's in this house, so you're allowing there to be like an expansion. It's like a double door, and it's not just a double door, because it's double door would be like this. It's like a double layer of it, which then allows you to look at the other layers that could expand through. So having a candle in front of a mirror, and clear the mirror, ward the mirror how you need to, and go through with no fear. Lighting the candle, let yourself be near, call on the spirits who you know are dear, and do not let other spirits be near. Beautiful. There's also too, interestingly enough, your dark moon is in this house in Cancer. And so there's probably going to be some shadow aspects that come through. The dark moon is about manipulation, betrayal, mother wound. It's also about how we empower ourselves as woman, womb, mother. Different titles, but they go together. And so, and different spaces, different spirits, that's true. But they go together. And so the empowerment of your emotions through that space is going to, it's going to be a change of pace. There's going to be a lot more resources that are readily available to you in the spirit. So like spiritual wisdom, spiritual connections, spiritual projections, spiritual reflections. That type of intimate reflection with yourself is how you grow, because you're talking in your note about supporting yourself and supporting others. And I can't remember the exact wording, but like the highest timeline of humanity or something similar to that. And so that's how you grow your resource in your spirit, in your practice. And then when you're able to understand for yourself, it's like a translation. You're going to have to learn to translate, not have to, but if you're going to be in this, like embark in this endeavor of learning this for yourself, then there's a need for learning to translate those spiritual resources. How do you consecrate? Practice of consecration. So to consecrate is bringing through, this is how I define it, to bring through the spirit. When there's wisdoms in the spirit, there's happenings in the spirit, the spirit, and to consecrate it is to bring it into the physical. That's how you exchange. That's your 8th house. Now, if you're able to sit with the spiritual information and realize within yourself, say that you need a work done swiftly, you need it done swiftly, you need it done directly, you need it done very soon, there's different ways that you can consecrate that in the physical. And so realizing that you have this really like unimaginably vast resource within the spirit, and it's coming through fast. When you clear the mirror and you start that practice for yourself, there's a lot of different resources that are going to come through for you in the spirit. Make sure that you are having the time with yourself and the conversations with yourself where you're learning how to bring through that wisdom into the physical. Because when you're bringing that wisdom through the physical, again, not only are you ushering things in to consecrate it, to make it physical, not only are you bringing that in and allowing yourself the space to usher in, meet new people, greet new opportunities, bring in more resources again. So like a double down of that. But this is going to be more physically aligned. So in the physical world, it could be a new job. There's so many it so much depends on what it is that you're asking for yourself and for other people, because you can usher in for other people also. So in that process, but then in addition to, because it's the 8th house, you have the Scorpio reflection of that. And so within the Scorpio reflection, while you're in the process of consecrating and bringing from the spirit into the physical, thank you, spirit, that's true. There's going to be, not just in the physical, because consecration is different than just, thank you, spirit, to be more specific and direct. It's different than just bringing it from the spirit into the physical. It's to have it be happening together simultaneously in the spirit and the physical at the same time, because you're talking about timelines too, so time magic at the same time. It's sometimes things are happening in the spirit, the physical has to catch up with it. Sometimes there's things that are happening in the physical and it activates something in the spirit, and things are changing within the spirit. So there's different types of activations and receivings and groundings that happen within the exchange of the physical and the spirit. But consecrations means it's happening simultaneously at the same time in the spirit, in the physical, in your body, in your heart, in your mind, in your eyes, is here also together. So there's going to be a moment where it clicks for you, because you're like, it's not going to take too long either. All you have to do is really like sit and think about it. Start this other practice, and then you're going to be receiving these tools and these resources and these wisdoms, and it's going to be really beautiful. It's probably going to be, what I hear is it's going to be a little bit overwhelming. Make sure you have some type of notebook. Even if you're going to sit and look, carry around a notebook. Even if, leave your phone alone is what I hear. I was going to say you could use the notes app on your phone, but leave your phone alone. is what I hear about that. Keep a notebook near you. Have a notebook near you, because the spirits, when you start this practice, are going to revere you. Like, you've been through a lot of training, and there's a lot of you are revered in the spirit. So the spirits, when you start this practice, are going to revere you. Thank you, spirit. And so allowing yourself to hear what they're bringing through. And then also too, Virgo, when you're literally taking a pen and grounding, you're writing. That's part of Virgo energy. And Virgo, you're welcome. That's part of Virgo energy and Virgo magic, is to ground writing, to take it from the mind and to bind it to the earth. And so if you're able to write down, and then sit and think about it. Thank you, spirit. To sit and think about it, to sit and receive it, to sit and really understand, like, how are you going to create that consecration in the spirit and the physical simultaneously. When you're able to do that, there is exchange. So this is where things might start to feel strange, and there's going to be a rearrange, because basically from up until this point, as we've been talking about the practices portion of it, not necessarily the MC and like that previous information, but the practices portion of it, it's been very centered in self, and it's been very centered within like your work and your wisdoms. But then when there comes to exchange, here's where the study of the art of exchange starts to happen. What are you offering? What's the energy you're offering? What's the physicalness that you're offering? What's the spiritual tool that you're offering? Understanding really in that the process of that consecration and the details, because this is where your Saturn is. And you have a Saturn in the 8th house. Return also to your Saturn return between the ages of 27 to 29 to look at review the materials that Saturn has given to you about the seriousness of guarding your practices, guarding your resources, guarding your exchange, guarding your art of exchange, learning how to tell who is, because the art of exchange is, we don't always know other people's intention within the art of exchange, but with the Saturn in the 8th house, you're able to read people down from top to bottom and understand exactly what their intention is before you go, and in the spirit too, because of these other placements that you have. So you're able to read people down from top to bottom, from back to front, from every direction that you would need to. You are able to read people through. It's a little new to you. Your North Node is in this house, and your Mercury is right next to your North Node. They're 2 degrees apart. So it's a little new to you to be able to articulate it and to be able to like bring it into a more like scholarly effect. And sometimes that's not going to be so direct. Even me saying scholarly effect, I'm like, that's not the like precise verbiage. It might not always be precise. Saturn asks that you take the time to be in your precision with the words, though. Be in precision, and it doesn't always need to be with the words. Just be in precision with your understanding. Sometimes we have understandings that are not able to be articulated, but that also helps to keep protected that wisdom. Yeah. So, and your vertex is here. So I do want to take a side note to talk about that. Vertex is one of the placements of fate in the chart. And so having a placement of fate right next to the Saturn, when you're in this practice and you're being in the Saturn pattern and you're able to have those wisdoms for yourself about protection and direction and understanding how to read people down and understanding too the spirits that are around you, when you're able to keep up the consistency of that work, the vertex, you are climbing up something to meet some type of crossing. So you're doing the work and you're being very refined in that area and within yourself, and you're able to meet big fates like that. Big fates like buying a house, or big fates like it's the bigger fates that we are like putting work towards in life. Again, very applicable to what you're asking for and what you want for yourself, but so it's situation and circumstance applicable, but it's a very beautiful placement. And so that being near your Saturn asks that you are very detail oriented about it, and it also offers you extra protection of those fates. Like if you receive it, it would be extra hard for someone to come through and mess with you and take that from you. So that's really beautiful. I definitely, with this placement, if you're sitting in the details, that's true, thank you, Spirit. If you're sitting in the details of the indirect information, this could also look like take your time to meditate. Take your time to meditate. Don't just weave your fate. Don't just have the workings and the consecrations and the reflections and I also hear the liberations and the libations. Thank you, Spirit. Thank you, Spirit. Not just those either, but taking time to meditate, sitting and meditating and understanding the wisdom of your body, and not meditation as in like physical moving. So we can have an awareness practice where we're physically moving, but this Saturn asks that you really have the time to sit and meditate and to be in the darkness of your mind so that you're not left behind. That's because Saturn also rules over our time. And so where we have Saturn in our chart means that that is where we're spending the most amount of time. And if we're not spending the most amount of time there, then our lives can become very difficult fairly quickly. That's part of the harshness of Saturn. So with Saturn here in the 8th house, having that darkness, because again, modernly ruled by Scorpio, and Virgo is the indirect communication. So sitting and meditating and allowing yourself to really bring through in that dark space of your mind so that you're not left behind. If you're ever feeling like things are moving very swiftly, like if you're, how do I say, the top layers, okay, if you're someone who studies hierarchies and you're like familiar with it, the top layers of the hierarchies, if you're feeling like things are moving fairly swiftly and things are moving like, if it's too easy, you probably need to sit and meditate. Not that but because there's a protection, not necessarily because it's just an intro and introspection. If it feels like it's really, really easy, just take a moment to check in with yourself, meditate, and make sure that you are protected where you need to be protected. Otherwise, there will be the possibility of redirection for protection, and there doesn't need to be that. Thank you, Spirit. There doesn't need to be that. There doesn't need to be redirection for protection, because then once you get into the Scorpio placements in your chart, especially too with a Libra ruled Pluto, like you're meant to transform through justice and through bringing balance. So this work really is dependent upon where do you want to focus your area of justice? Because if you're looking at the bigger picture and you're involving other people and you're looking at how you want to best serve you with your gifts of this beautiful gift of being able to consecrate and usher in the way that you do, which is gorgeous. And thank you for allowing me to sit and receive the information of your chart, because this is really beautiful. With that gift and that receiving that you have, Scorpio and the Scorpio influence asks that you're the one making the decisions on how you're interacting with those hierarchies and how you're interacting with the collectives that you're a part of. If you're ever handed an opportunity, more than likely it's too good to be true with how much Scorpio influence you have. With the Scorpio influence you have, if you're activating it and you're protecting it, that's where your work for the collective needs to be. If the collective brings you opportunity, more than likely there's an exchange that you cannot see within the art of exchange. And that's also part of the sitting and meditating and making sure that everything is where it needs to be for you so that you are protected, because you're the one who's activating those decisions. And then when it comes to your direction, it looks like, because the word humanities, where's your Aquarius? It's in your 1st house. So Pluto's moving through with all the Scorpionic influence. Pluto's moving through your house of self right now. And we just started the retrograde. So discovering your power of self, rediscovering your power of self, understanding how you root in your power, how do you surround yourself with your power, and how does that allow you innovation. And also too, your Uranus is ruled by Scorpio, and it is conjunct 1 degree off with Venus, and so having there be these, if you're sitting in creative ideas, they need to be yours and they need to be brought through as yours. Make sure that you're doing your chores, spiritual chores, physical, like the house chores, yard work, anything. That make sure you're doing your chores, because if you're not, there's not going to be a lot of room for you to be able to have the really big ideas that you need. Also, you're probably going to be having big ideas as you're doing what you need to do, because Uranus and Aquarius is being in order. Yes, gorgeous. Thank you for the language. I love it. Being in order. And so having that order, part of the Aquarius is that we're breaking out of the system, but that means that the system that we're involved in has to be in order. And so to have everything in order, that's part of, thank you, Spirit, that's part of Pluto and Aquarius, is having that order be completely structured and completely sound, so that when we do have that big breakthrough, we're still able to have our structure to return to. Because when we have the big breakthrough with Pluto and Aquarius, there isn't a system or a structure up where we have the big breakthrough, and we have to return to system and structure. And so for you, this is your systems and your order, and what does that look like for you? And how do you define that? And what is the power of that for you? This could also have to do with like your beauty, because your Saturn, with the Saturn influence of this, is in Virgo. So like your beauty and like your beauty routines, the beauty order, having the order of your food be really specific, like being, the era of discipline is upon you is what I hear about that. The era, not that you haven't been disciplined, but the era of discipline is upon you, especially if you're calling yourself to be in an elevated position within the hierarchies and to serve the collective somehow. Be protective as you serve the collective. If there, that means be protective of you. And there is like, what I see is like a bubble or an energy around the collective that you're serving, like being protective of that collective also. Because I was saying earlier, within the hierarchy structure, it's like you and then the people under you, but then there's the business entity, but then the business entity belongs to the like government tax structure, and that government tax structure is a part of a bigger bubble of like the world and how we exchange with each other. And so having there be the protective like bubbles around the collective that you're serving and are giving your gifts to. Also, when you're working with these consecrations, having the right over the left, I don't know how it reflects to you on the screen, but I just hear that that's important. The details of it, it's I've done it multiple times. The right over the left, right over the left. There's no theft. Right over the left is there's no theft. So allowing yourself to bring through the consecrations. There's consecrations that are only for you and through the spirit and having that relationship of exchange. But there's also going to be consecrations you bring through where when you start to step into this process of offering for the collective, or the process of bringing through for the collective, ushering in for the collective, be directive when you're ushering through for the collective, especially because Sagittarius rules your 11th house, which has to do with the social circles that we're a part of. So you need to have a specific aim, yes, you're welcome. A specific aim, a specific space that you are, like, what's your purpose? Gorgeous. What's your purpose? And it's not just about, thank you, Kente, I love you. Not just about your purpose. It's about your dreams. Sagittarius is the dreamer. And so allowing yourself to really sit and dream in the spirit, because your Neptune is also in this house. Oh, that's gorgeous. Thank you, Spirit. Your Neptune's also in this house. So allowing yourself to really like dream about the collective. Like, what is it that you really dream about for the collective? What do you dream about? And what is it that you want to help the collective figure out? What is it that you are, what is your dream? The dreams, and they might not be super articulatable, especially with your Mercury placement also. They might not be super articulatable, and that's not necessarily a bad thing. So allowing yourself to dream, like keep the feeling of the dream. Also too, because your Jupiter is ruled by Leo, if you're allowing the love to really like feed that dream and you're allowing your heart space to feed that dream, you're probably going to be on target. The targeting, you're probably going to be on target. And then how does that dream also reflect in the spirit? Having that spiritual reflection is going to be really important. Having the understanding of, that's kind of been a big part of the reading, is having the understanding of how the spirit reflects in the physical and how the physical reflects in the spirit, and how do they come together through consecration. Also, again, I want to bring up too, because I feel like it's important, sometimes things are activated in the spirit and they need to be grounded in the physical. And so there are some times where we are activating things in the physical and that is elevated up into the spirit. Elevated, revealed in the spirit. Revealed. It's revealed in the spirit. We activate it in the physical, and then it's like we lift the veil off of it. When we activate it in the physical, we reveal it in the spirit. So to understand the difference between those two and how spirit has you sit in that, because everybody sits in that type of gift. Your lift, like when you have a gift, you need to lift it. Well, you don't need to lift it, but if you're on the path of spirit, then spirit usually asks you to lift it. So understanding, thank you, Spirit, that's true. Understanding how you are lifting your gift and your gifts. Like, how do you lift that for yourself? And reflecting upon that will help you to direction, to help you to direct what is going on with the collective and where you want to be in the collective, and your dreams for yourself and the dreams for the collective need to work together. Also, they cannot be separate because you are a part of the collective that you are working with. And also understanding too, because of your Scorpio placements, if you are working in these hierarchies, thank you, Spirit, that's true. If you are working in these hierarchies and you're really like allowing yourself to be seen by the people, because you could do this, that's true. you could do this in a way where you are not telling anybody about this work. You're not posting anything on the internet. You're not doing it, like, you don't tell people about it. That's part of the Scorpio secrecy. You could do this. You could do everything for the collective behind the scenes. You could do everything in the privacy. You could do everything in the secret. People are still going to see your victories. They might not be able to talk about it, but they're going to be able to feel it. They're going to be able to see it. They're not going to be able to maybe, speak on it, but they're going to know that you're somebody. They're going to know that you are working something, even again, if they're not able to articulate it. If you're able to keep it private, there's something about that offers you a shield. And if there's something in your power that you're willing to wield that needs to be revealed, then go out to a field, like the land. Go out to a field. If you need people to see the work that you're doing, again, reveal it. If you need people, don't seal it with a ceiling in the house. If you need people to see it, go and do it where people are able to, where it is revealed. There's a difference of that. In the sealed, there's a shield. That's the privacy, even in your public image. But then when you're working with, thank you, Spirit, that's true. But then when you're working with having other people revere you or see you, revere you and see you, and allowing others to be ushered in, the details, gorgeous with your Capricorn rising sign. If you're needing other people to be ushered in, so say that you need information, because the details, Saturn being with Virgo, that's true. Say that you need to receive details and messages, like thinking about how, bigger picture, thinking about how other people are involved within the consecrations that you're creating are really important, because the field being out in the open, or is there a shield? Do you need it to be sealed? There's going to be different, like, the details are really important for you for this. So really, like, that's part of the meditating process, really getting clear on that and sitting with it and understanding it. And then when it's ushered in to the physical for you, or like, because when something is consecrated, then there's a repetition of pattern, especially with your Saturn. There's going to be lots of repetition of pattern, probably more so than maybe another person's chart. There's the ability for you to create lots of different layers around your consecrations. So having those consecrations come through, thank you, Spirit, that is true. Having those consecrations be very, so very detailed, and because your Capricorn is here and you're rising, making sure that you are able to, thank you, Spirit, making sure that you are able to really be specific about how other people, especially if you're going to be making offerings for the collective, even if other people don't see it or you need them to see it, just thinking about how other people are interacting with this. And with your Neptune and Sagittarius in the 11th house, there needs to be, you have spirituality within the social spaces that you're in. So recognizing how you're asking yourself to step into that spirituality, when you're stepping into that spirituality, and understanding too that your dreams, the purpose and your dreams, are always going to be within, that's true, they're always going to be within the spirit and the socialization of the spirit. And that reflects back to the 9th house, which is kind of the only part of the chart, a couple things, but that's the main chunk of this 8th, 9th, 10th house compactness that you have going on that I haven't gotten to yet. This is where your Pluto is. Pluto in Libra, and this is also where the South Node is right now. So you're really working on learning how to dream. When it comes to the South Node in Libra, if you're needing to receive dreams or receive, more dreams, or you're receiving more information about your dreams, or receiving more physicalness about receiving more, because it's ruled by Venus. So the receiving, if you need to receive more within your dreams, ideas, the justice, say that there's other people who have done injustice to your dreams. So if you're needing to receive justice, because that's also Libra, so receiving that for yourself. Through this placement of the 9th house being ruled by Libra, remove what isn't working for you. So if you're seeing that there's something that is already taking up the space in your life that is about your dreams and about the say that you're realizing this big dream about the collective vision and what you are seeing for your practice and what you're seeing for how you're helping other people. You're really like getting in tune with it, and you realize, oh, actually there's this emotion that's stuck. Okay, well that needs to go. Oh, you realize there's this mindset that's stuck. Something about like maybe you can't do it, or like other people have told you can't do it, but they've done injustice to you. So then you have to let go of that mindset. It doesn't necessarily have to be like a physical thing that's taking up the space of that dream. It could be something that is more like integral to who you are as a person throughout time, especially because you're talking about time magic with the timelines. And I feel like that's important to think about, especially because Saturn rules time. I don't really know how that it like comes up for you in your practice. Time magic and timelines are different for every single person, and they're very intricate. They're very intricate and delicate. So allowing yourself to really understand what that means for you and how you're going to move through that. And there's a lot of wisdom that's only for you for that. So I will leave that right there for you. Yes. And I'm very sure about that. That's not for me, and that's not for other people to see. That's for you. So I will leave it there. And then, thank you, Spirit. That's true. When you're going through this process of like the removal so that you're able to receive, that's also going to be activating both the 8th and the 10th house for you, because that's where your Pluto is in the 9th house with the Libra energy. And when you're doing that, your fortune placement, that's really gorgeous. Being able to recognize that you're in the middle of that transformation of like the removal for the receiving, and in the middle of that dreaming. Right place at the right time. So I talked about the vertex earlier, and that's like the fate where you're like working towards it. There's another placement of fate in the charts, and that's the fortune. The fortune is very swift. It's showing up at the right place at the right time. And if you're able to recognize that you're at the right place at the right time, you are receiving a fate that you've been asking for. But if you are not able to identify it, then it will pass you up because you have not recognized that you were at the right place at the right time. So as you're going through this process of transforming through removal for receiving, there is a right place that's where your right place at the right time is when you're balancing the scales, because you're transforming and becoming more powerful. That placement is even more like small scale than the other fate placement. So small scale, but not a fail. Like it's, sometimes we need to focus on the little things. Like maybe you wanted a new ring, or you wanted a new something. There's something that you wanted to bring into your life that was like new. It's like an extra little lucky placement for this transformation process. And so paying attention to your smaller human wants and wishes, that's really what this fate placement is about. That's part of your dreaming process, is to be in that type of fate and like realizing that you're able to just receive that because you show up. And so how it's very applicable to like your personal, like I call them smaller. It's a how do I say, but sometimes they don't feel small. Sometimes they're like really important to us on a day-to-day basis, but they're maybe not going to be important to us 6 months from now. Even though it was a small thing that is important to you right now and it doesn't feel very small, you might not remember that it was important for 6 months ago or 6 months from now. So just being able to recognize what that type of fate is for you and what you're asking for from that kind of fate of just showing up and being at the right time at the right place. Yeah, beautiful. There's more information to come through, but first I want to have a moment of like reflection for redirection. So is there anything that you want further inspection on? Is there any questions that you have? We've gone over pretty much everything almost for like the general space of the chart. There's been a couple of practices that have come through. I also don't want to overwhelm you with information, so I just kind of want to check in, see where you want to pick up again, see where you're at and what you're looking for from more of that. Yeah. Because that's really beautiful. That was really beautiful. Hi, baby. Yeah, hi. Also, for everyone hanging out, I am in the middle of a reading, so just so you know what's up. I'm good. Not overwhelmed in the big picture sense. Very lovely. Beautiful. Beautiful. Oh, no, sorry. If I haven't read your, how do I say, comments, that's definitely why. Is because I'm not very good at channeling information and also at the same time like reading comments. It's not my forte. Not a bad thing. That's just how I am and who I am. So my list is closed for tonight, but I do have a Pluto and Warding Magic live stream available on the website for, how do I say, like, it's on May 29th. It's a future live stream. So if you're interested in that information and would like to receive more of it, there's that option. But yeah, my list is closed for the evening. So evening, night, it's like 4 in the morning here. But yeah. That's very lovely. Is there any more details that you want to focus on, Esmeralda? Or any more, like, I don't know if you're typing or not. You might be typing a question out. I can't see if you're typing, so if you are, sorry. But if there's any more, like, details that you want to focus on, the big picture sounds very lovely. There's been practices that have come through. Is there any more that you need to, the reading is in line, you are doing great, beautiful. Is there any more that, thank you. Is there any more that you need to receive when it comes to, how do I say, like your specificities, or if there's any other practices that could be of help, or how else can you be supported in this moment? How else can you be supported in this moment? In, like, how do I say, direction? Further inspection? Yeah, how else can you be further supported? I feel like there's the question. Good morning to you too, Kate. Hello. That's a great way to phrase that also. How can you further be supported? Beautiful. Also, happy Pluto retrograde to everybody. I'm really excited for this Pluto retrograde. I'm really excited for this Pluto retrograde. It's gonna be a good one. It's gonna be a good one. But yeah, we're in the middle of a reading for Esmeralda, just for clarity's sake for everyone. Yeah, you are doing great. Yeah, is there another way that I can further support you? And it's not just me. Yes. Is there a way that you can be further supported, or like have further support come through? Because there's the okay, beautiful, thank you, Spirit. There's direction I need from you. There's still more to come through, but there's direction I need from you. That's what I hear. Yeah. Without fear, let it be clear. Let it be clear. Yes. Yes. I'm not, how do I say, the Pluto retrograde. There's been a couple questions that have come in about the Pluto retrograde. I don't want to leave the energy of the reading that I'm in. I do have some videos up on my page if you want to go look at those, but I am in a reading and I don't want to, like, fully leave the energy of it before we're finished and through. Yeah. Just for clarity, because I was literally just sitting and, like, staring at the screen. But... Oh, thanks for that. No, I can't see your comment. Sometimes that happens. I did not see it. I didn't see it come through. I'm sorry. I don't know why. Sometimes they flag, and sometimes, also hi to you too. Sometimes they flag comments for, I don't know what reason, but that is not the first time that has happened. So apologies, just me like sitting here staring at the screen. No, I didn't see it come through. Yeah, I don't know why that happens. Thank you, Mystic. I don't know why that happens. That's, thank you, yeah. Yeah, I don't know why that happens, but sometimes it does. So I know I did not see it come through. And apologies, because I don't have any control over that, so yeah. Actually, isn't that funny? It's in sight. I remember. I don't know if you retyped it, but it still didn't come through. But I'm not in a rush, so. I'm also not worried about it. So. If it's easier, I can look at my DMs too if you wanted to send it over a direct message. That also works for me. Because sometimes if it's not letting it come through on the the screen, sometimes it needs to be up on the back end. Not a bad thing though. Oh, and I have a whole, okay. Load the messages. TikTok, my goodness, there's a lot of messages that just came through. So I'll go back there and check that too. Yeah. And if you send it on the back end, then let me know on here also. Yeah. Beautiful. I'll check out for it. I'll look out for it. Also, good morning, everybody. I don't know what time it is where you're at, but good morning. Or good day. Or good night. Technically, I guess it could still be considered nighttime here. Yeah. Oops. From Spirit and Chart. Okay, beautiful. All right, Spirit, then one needs to come through. What I hear is, no, the direction needs to come from you. I hear the direction, and this is a practice. Okay, thank you, Spirit. Sometimes that happens in my readings. Wait, actually, before I start talking about that, okay, beautiful. Because sometimes, like, this is, with all the Scorpio energy that you have in your chart, with the Scorpio stellium and then the 8th house stellium also, that energy, the study of Scorpio energy, like Libra is about justice. We have the earth information integration with Virgo. Leo's really about like the heart and the like shining brightly. The Scorpio studies are literally about the will. It's literally about decisions. And so sometimes in my readings, Spirit will open up space so that there's like a place for a practice. It's also protection. Part of your protection is choosing direction. That's true. Part of your protection is choosing direction. So allowing yourself to have, and don't rush yourself either. Take your time. Having further inspection for further direction is that practice, thank you for the awareness of it, that practice will allow there to be protection for you further on down the road, and also protection in the information that comes through. Shout out Spirit. Thank you, Spirit. That's true. So, yeah. Wow. Protection for you with the information that comes through. That's true. That's true, because I could take it in any direction, but that's not what Spirit's asking me to do right now. So, yes. Let me go back to my messages also. Pluto retrograde, beautiful. Okay, thank you. Oh, and thank you for sending in the understanding of Spirit too. I'm grateful for that. I'm grateful for that. All right, so Pluto retrograde. Let's talk a little bit more about Pluto retrograde. I love Pluto retrograde. Also, I want to say thank you to Esmeralda for the with you confirmations as I was going through. I'm really grateful for that. Really grateful for you. So, you don't need to continue if you don't feel like you want to or need to, but it has been something that I'm grateful for throughout the session. So, Pluto retrograde, as Pluto is, we were talking about wards earlier and warding the mirror. So Pluto is the heart. Yes. Pluto is one of the warding spirits in astrology. It is the spirit that's on the very external of our solar system. And so it is the border, a warder. It's the border of our structure, astrologically speaking. Then when we come to Aquarius is the air that is the border. It's the ozone layer. It's the furthest air that is away from the earth that reaches space. So it's the border of the air element of our earth. So we have Pluto, a warding spirit that's moving through Aquarius, which is a warding spirit, also a warding element. So we're about to understand a lot about warding magic for those of us who are practitioners and work with wards over the next 20 some years. This moving through your first house is really going to be about how are you protecting your wards for you. Warding your body, how does your dress ward your body? How are you warding your mind? How are you warding your, again, too, with your, the consecrations and bringing things through in the physical, the usherings in, having to do with your image, and that being connected, because there is a little bit of Capricorn in your first house as well. So what does it look like in your image? What does it look like within your body? What does it look like within your purpose? Everything that encompasses and encapsulates you. It literally is like a capsule. To encapsulate you, to have the very great understanding of what that is really important as Pluto moves through Aquarius. You don't have any placements in Aquarius. However, with all of the Pluto energy that you have going on in your chart, any Pluto transit for you is going to be intense, just because of where your placements are. Not a bad thing. Pluto offers us a lot of power. So as we go through Pluto transformations, what we're able to do is hold on to what is valuable. So say that you are starting to understand how you ward yourself and you ward your purpose, you ward your body, you ward your dress, you ward your practices, you're warding your thoughts, you're warding your mind, you're warding your eyes, the wards, you're warding your home, centered around you. What do you want with your home and the warding there? Because really the first house it is you, it's centered around you, but you exist in all the other houses too. This is also about your activations. How are you activating? Because when you're activating, that's also the first house is the beginning. When you're activating, that's where the warding and protection needs to happen. That's also about direction. Also true, because warding is direction. There has to be direction for it to be a ward. There's more information on that in your further inspection, because direction is different for every single person. also direction is different for, that's true, thank you, Spirit. Direction's not only different for every single person, it's different for every single purpose, and it's different for every single ward. There's a lot that goes into it being applicable. So if you're interested in the direction introspection, again, that meditation for the details of it with the Saturn placement are going to be important. Where was I going with that? Pluto, warding, direction. How are you moving? That's true, actually. How are you moving within your direction in all the other spaces in your life? And within that activation, having there be that protective warding at the very beginning, and then studying that for yourself. Studying how are you warding at the beginning? How are you protecting it? How are you encapsulating it at the beginning? And when you're able to not only understand that, but direct it, you're going to be able to then further protect it, because warding is an active practice. Like, we can do it once, but then it needs to be probably done over again eventually. And so having there be that activation of protection and direction and warding at the beginning, as it pertains to you also, because they go together, as it pertains to you and how it's centered in you, is going to allow you to bring through what you're asking for, because warding is also a door. Thank you, Spirit. Warding is also a door. So as you ward, you're also like creating the opportunity for there to come through, because the ward is really the veil, like having there be a veil or creating a veil. It's not the same exact thing, but having there be like this transfer space, or this space where there can be exchange that happens. Also too, where do I want to go with that? Because I feel like Aquarius, there was something else I was going to come through. Aquarius being the water bearer and the life bringer. So how are you pouring life into yourself? That's going to be something important to note for you too. It could be as simple as how are you warding your water before you drink it? Like, are you going and happily getting your water for yourself? Because that's a ward. Are you going and happily getting your water for yourself and like doing it in joy and receiving it in joy? Because that's what's surrounding, that's what's encapsulating that life that you are then giving to yourself. But if you're doing it in a grumpy space, then you're going to receive that in a grumpy place, and then that's going to feed you probably grumpily. And so noticing how you're doing that, how you're activating those encapsulations for you, and how you're feeding yourself, and what's also too, if you're receiving life from other people or other places or other spaces, because Pluto has to do for you with hierarchies. And also too, it's part of how you dream, because that's the house that it's in. So like you're dreaming, and how like your purpose within your dreaming, and then that Sagittarius for you with the dreams, and the correlation of that's also within your social circles. So it has a lot to do with other people, this process. So when you're sharing and receiving life from other people, how are they warding what is being given to you? So for example, you and your friend go out for a cup of coffee, and she pays for the coffee. Beautiful, gorgeous, love that. Did she pay for it in love? Because if she did, you're probably going to receive it in love. And then how did the barista make it? Did they make it with love? Did they put, how did they surround that also? So paying attention to those types of wards and how they're affecting you is going to be important, because Pluto is also about power. So if you're interacting with a ward that you do not agree with, then unbinding yourself from it is also really important, and that's part of Pluto retrograde. So this time right now, and I don't have a date on my mind of when it ends, but when it ends, then we will start to move back into the bindings together of the wards and like putting wards back up. But for right now, we're undoing wards. So if you've become bound to anything or tied to anything, especially related to you and yourself and the life that has been poured into you, right now is a time where we're undoing contracts, and we're going back into Capricorn also. We're going back into Capricorn for us to really like wrap that up and like undo anything that we don't need to stick around for the rest of our lives. That one's going to be pretty intense. Not a bad thing. I think it's going to be important that we're moving back into Capricorn with this, to be honest, because if we're looking at the Pluto transit in Aquarius when it started, so like a little bit further of a breakdown, January 20th is when Pluto goes into Aquarius. That's also the same day that the sun goes into Aquarius. So we have this really bright illumination on our purpose of like moving into Pluto and Aquarius. What are we doing with Pluto and Aquarius? What does it mean for us? What's being highlighted? We're seeing very clearly the system. Now, how we're creating through that system, the Uranus portion of it, Uranus was retrograde. It was the only planet retrograde during that transit when Pluto and the sun move into Aquarius. So that Uranus retrograde, we're actually looking backwards at how we were creative at one point in our system of that Aquarius energy. This is why I think the retrograde is going to be important, because we've had time to discover and uncover. Uranus was direct. We had space where, thank you, Spirit, as true. We had space where Uranus was direct. We had all the planets direct. It was right before eclipse season. We were feeling, and part of eclipse season also, we're feeling pretty good. Planets direct. So we're having this like forward moving motion, and we're going to have time to return to the Capricorn place and like wrap up what we weren't able to wrap up before. And then when we're moving back into Pluto in Aquarius, we've had the time to really think about how do we want to be creative that's going to be different than the way that we're doing it before. And going back to your Uranus and your chart, it's Scorpio. So anytime that you are in that creative energy, it needs to be activated by you. So the combination of your Scorpio Uranus and then your Virgo Saturn, ooh, wow. So Virgo is really the indirect, that's the indirect pattern. It's if you've ever looked at something in the darkness, you can't look directly at it. There's like a dark spot or like a black spot in your vision. But if you look just to the right of it or just to the left of it, you can see kind of what it is and kind of like what's around it. Even if you can't look directly at it, you can look to the side. It's kind of there. So if you are looking at the indirect patterns, it's probably going to be kind of similar to that. Like looking in the darkness, but you can't look directly at it. You might not be able to articulate directly at it, but you're going to be able to see the pattern that's around it and the pattern that surrounds it. Again, awarding energy, that encapsulating you, even if you're not able to speak directly on it or directly about it. And then with your Uranus in Scorpio, that means that, oh, that's really interesting, because then you have this kind of like dark spot in the middle that you're able to say, all right, well, that's what that is. I decide the middle is this. What I'm not able to articulate, this is my decision about what that is. Also, Pluto Scorpio is conjuring magic. So the fact that you have your Uranus ruled by Scorpio and then you have Pluto moving through, or we have Pluto moving through Aquarius, there's a lot about conjuring magic. Thank you, Spirit. And I feel like this is what bring it through. So conjuring magic is we've talked a little bit about different parts of the spirit, how it's reflected in the physical and like the consecrations and the activations and the revealings. When it comes to Scorpio, so the story of Scorpio, not the full story, but the Scorpio was in the story was literally conjured. It was conjured to go and sting someone so that they were not here anymore, sting a spirit so that they were not here anymore. And to give honor and reverence to that story, the scorpion was put up in the sky up high. Gorgeous, love it. With Scorpio energy, it does have to do with conjuring. So to bring through the spirit into the physical, and for you having a Uranus like that, there's gonna be that's really wonderful. What a wonderful happening. There's gonna be a lot of conjuring work that you're realizing about your practice and about yourself as Pluto moves through Aquarius. Because the other thing that Pluto asks us to do as we're discovering our power is to like hold on to so say that you're learning about some type of conjuring magic, especially too because of the Saturn influence being in the indirectness. All right, so you're noticing your conjuring magic, you're looking at the system that it's in, it's beautiful, it's wonderful, you're looking at the indirectness around it, you're realizing what is going to be conjured out of it, what you want to be conjured out of it, where you're bringing through the spirit, because you're looking at the patterns around it. This also has to do with divination too, like divination in the worldly exchanges, divination through cards, divination through systems, divination, generally speaking, however you divinate specifically for yourself. If you're able to divinate around it and then make your decision about what it actually is. And you may have found in your practice that spirit doesn't actually tell you exactly what it is. Like, you're meant to make the decisions for yourself rather than having spirit make the decision for you. That happens with Scorpio placements, but your Scorpio placements set you up for that. And also the way that you are observing the pattern is going to change what that articulation of that conjuring actually is. So that's also important to note. Like, you're very active in the art of this type of practice with this conjuring. So if you realize for yourself as you're going through this practice, like there's something that works. You realize there's a bunch of stuff that maybe doesn't work, but there's something that works. So then you end that practice of what it was, but you bring that something that works with you through the transformation. You're going to try something new. You're going to be creative in a different way. You're receiving new messages. There's different divinations. It's a new space. It's a new work. It's a new weaving. It's a new creation. You're still bringing that valuable, you realize this works with you into the next. This is where Pluto redirects into the next. That value that you've brought with you is going to impact the value of that conjuring of your next work, because you realized it's valuable. And then again, maybe you realize there's a bunch of things that didn't work. Beautiful, gorgeous. Sometimes we have to learn by, what doesn't work. That's just what it is. So you realize those things that don't work, but then you realize, oh, there's this other thing that's really valuable. Or maybe there's 2 things this time that are really valuable. So now you have 3. Now you have 3 things that are really valuable. But the work still didn't work exactly how you thought it was going to, because magic is a science. Sometimes we have to experiment. So it didn't work how you thought it was going to. That's wonderful, beautiful, love it. Let's move on then. So now you have these 3 really beautiful things. And again, with your chart, keep it centered around you and keep it centered around how you are warding yourself and your power and you. And also understand too that how you're working this for yourself is going to create hierarchies within the collective spaces that you're in. So again, keeping that privacy and what you need for that, because everything that you're going to be doing in your hierarchies is going to be very public. So understanding that you're able to, with the wards, understanding what wards of privacy you need and understanding what wards are specifically revealed. If you're going to reveal it, make sure that it's specific. Don't just reveal it because you feel, maybe because you feel it, but don't just reveal it to be willy-nilly about it. If you're revealing it, it's because it's for a purpose and there's power in the revealing of it so that other people can see it. Beautiful, gorgeous, love it. So now you have these 3 and you're going into a new work. Well, guess what you've just done? Now you have transformed from this first work. You have this value. You've transformed. That's Pluto. Then you went into a new one. You found 2 more and you transformed. You're not that person anymore. You're not doing that kind of work anymore. Now you have 3 valuable things. That's how Pluto brings power to us. We don't get rid of what's valuable. Going through transformation, death and rebirth is a lot of work. It's a lot of work, especially centered around the self. You going through a death and rebirth, it's not like a part of your life. Every area of your life where you are present, there's the possibility and probability that you're going to be going through a death and a rebirth. So as you're going through this, focusing on how you're conjuring with that Scorpio placements and bringing it also through the hierarchies, like how are you conjuring through the hierarchies? Because it could be that you're able to conjure something from the person who's above you, or you're able to conjure something from what is below you, or you're able to conjure from where you, like the same level that you're at. You say you like study hierarchies, so I'll leave extra details for yourself for that one. Because also, Scorpio is about secrets. I don't want to reveal too much about that. So apply your wisdom as needed and necessary for that. And then your Venus being basically right on top of this, you're also able to decide not only what are you conjuring, but what are you receiving from that. So if you're conjuring an opportunity for yourself, beautiful, gorgeous, love it. Not only is it that opportunity, the details, look at the details, because you have that Saturn in the 8th house. What kind of opportunity? What kind of people do you want there? What kind of energy do you want to be there? Are you looking for a specific kind of environment and hours? Are you looking for flowers? Like, do you want to show up every day to this opportunity? Do you want to show up once a week to this opportunity? Do you want to show up and there's flowers there? Do you want to show up and there's people feeding you? The details, being really specific about the details is really important. And I think that learning the art of letting go while you're practicing this is going to be really important too, because there's going to be some things that you bring through that you realize maybe you didn't sit with the details of it for long enough. You didn't sit with the details of it. Maybe you just didn't know. Maybe you hadn't had the experience yet to understand those details so that you could bring through what you were asking for. And that's true. Interesting. No more war, no more fighting for it, because your Mars being in the MC, if people see you fighting, they're going to agree and they're going to fight through too. So if your Mars is also the protector of resources, you have all these valuable pieces of information. You have all these valuable like designations for, like, you have your value. People see it. People see what's, because it's conjunct your MC, so it's very visible. People see it. Thank you, Spirit. It's true. That Mars, your resource is also to be seen. Interesting. So, interesting. Your resource, part of your resource is literally to be seen. I don't know how I didn't put that together until now, but yeah, that's true. Yeah, part of your resource is literally to be seen. So as you're being seen, it needs to be very specific about when you're being seen in your work and when you are not, because to be seen is a resource. You also receive resources when you are being seen. It's easy for you to connect with your art of resource when you are visible and when you have visibility to you. I feel like this is through and true. How do you feel? Because I definitely feel like that energy down and like leveled. So how do you feel about it, Esmeralda? How do you feel about it? I feel good too. Do you feel comfortable if we call it through, or do you have any like follow-up information or questions that you want to sit with before we're done? Also, I can check my DMs too. I don't know if you send any other ones through, but yeah, if you want to sit with anything else before we're through, I will definitely sit with you. But I definitely felt the energy. I felt it there at the end, kind of like come down and through. So I feel it through in the spirit, but I want to make sure to, like, we're still humans, you know. So I want to make sure that you're feeling good also. Yeah. Because that is also important. Any advice when we go through Mercury retrogrades? Let me go look at your Mercury. You know how people say don't sign contracts during Mercury retrogrades? You are definitely not meant to sign contracts during Mercury retrogrades. That also means like word is bond contracts. Yeah. Because there's no retracts when you sign those contracts. That's part of your protections for the 8th house. Because you have Mercury in the 8th house, anytime that you are in a verbal or indirect conversation, anytime you're exchanging words, there is other exchanges happening. And so getting really familiar with that, and anytime too that we're in a Mercury retrograde, you're going to be building new skills within your communication. So even just realize where you're going uphill within Mercury retrogrades. Where are you going uphill? Where's the hill? What's the hill? What are you climbing? Are you climbing? Are you walking? Are you crawling? How are you getting there? That's also important too, because Saturn is also here. So paying attention to the details, also with the warding and the Pluto and the Aquarius and the energy that surrounds it, going over that also. And this being in the 8th house with the Pluto influence. Gorgeous. If you're recognizing what hill you're going up, and if you're not giving up, sometimes you can just take one big step and get to the top of the hill, or the steps become easier. And so if you're able to identify, like, normally in the pre-shadow period, which is 2 weeks, is 14 days before Mercury retrograde starts, you'll start to notice kind of like a theme within the transit. Paying attention to like the specificities of the transit in the sky and how they relate to your chart is also really important. And so kind of like having that reflection for yourself and understanding that each Mercury retrograde is going to be different, but in the general overarching picture for your chart, looking at that transit 2 weeks before, it's 14 days. 14 days before Mercury retrograde starts, you'll be able to see a theme come through. If you're able to identify what hill you're walking up before, sometimes you're able to just get rid of the hill and realize you don't need to climb it. Sometimes you do need to climb it though. So it depends on your situation, depends on what you want, it depends on where you're going. And also don't sign contracts. Do not make verbal agreements. You honestly, where your placements are, you could meet someone who like tries to trick you out of something with their words, and so just be really apparent and available to your discernment with that, especially because it's your North Node, so you're learning new skills of this, and what the art of exchange looks like through words. This also reminds me of like if you're reading, I'm a fairy book reader, okay? If you're reading books about fairies, there's a lot of talk usually in like fairy lore about how they're very specific with their, their words and their verbiage, and like not having loopholes or creating loopholes, or just like being very detail oriented about what they're speaking within there. So if you are able to do that for yourself, more than likely you're not going to get tricked out of something. If you ever find yourself in a situation, the word contract, last thing, any advice on the Mars placement, your resource is to be seen. One of your resources is to be seen. Also, your resources are always going to be on display to people. So this could be too, like, which means that there's like this. Hold on. Actually, I do need water before I talk. There's kind of this invisible shield, again, the invisibility of the wards, with Scorpio and with Pluto. There's kind of this invisible shield between like what is revealed and what's not revealed. Understand that anytime a secret is revealed, anytime you reveal your power, what you draw power on, anytime you reveal a secret, anytime that you reveal a secret, you are creating resource for yourself. Which also means that because it's Scorpio, there's going to be an exchange. So when you're revealing, it could be that you reveal a secret very specifically because you're around a group of people and you know that if you reveal that secret, they're going to give you what you're looking for. Simple. But part of Scorpio is that it's strategy based. So say that there's 3 people and you reveal a secret to those 3 people, and you realize in revealing that, or before you reveal that secret, like there's one person in the group who could take that information later on and use it against you for something. That's part of understanding this Mars placement also, is like what comes after the victory. And so yes, you have a victory in that setting where you've revealed the secret, you've opened up that and you've let it come through, you've revealed the secret, that's a resource, there's been an exchange, you have your victory. Gorgeous, beautiful. However, the one person later on could use it for ulterior motives, for other purposes, and in using it for ulterior motives and for other purposes, you're not able to any longer wield that shield of what is revealed and what is not revealed. And so there either needs to be another strategy in place to make sure you're protected from that person if they wanted to come through, maybe having one of their secrets, I think that's called blackmail, having one of their secrets or information on them so that there isn't an exchange, or to have there be some type of closing of door or where their opinion wouldn't matter anymore. Having some type of strategy, I don't know exactly what that would look like because it's very situationally based, but having some kind of strategy where what comes after, it's having a Mars in Scorpio is you are sitting at a chess board and you have seen the entire game play out in your mind before anybody even moves a piece. That's a Mars in Scorpio. When you're making moves, make sure that they're really specific, because as you're making these moves, people are going to see them, like victories, strategies, as you're moving the pieces on the board of the games that you're playing and like where you're doing what you're doing and going through it. Not only are people going to see it, but people seeing it gives you power. There's sometimes keeping your secrets gives you power, so discerning between the two of those things. And then when it comes to like the hierarchies, anytime you make a move, you're either staying in the same, going down in the hierarchy, or moving up in the hierarchy. And so understanding how that move is offering you power and what does it look like, just being really specific about the motion and the movement within those hierarchies. And there are some people who would play down so that they can get up. There's some people who would play up so that they can get down. It really depends on what your like persona is on that and your intake is on that, and also what your motives are and what do you want. Again, Scorpio is really based on the will and like our will, our ability to will things and our decision making. So studying strategy is probably going to be really beneficial to you. There's a lot of different books on strategy. However, there's so many different ways to study strategy. You can study it from experience, you can study it from books, you can study it, there's so many, and again, the will of how you want to learn that. But I would sit with that placement, sit and study strategy, and sit and study strategy of like, yeah, you're welcome. Sit and study strategy of like gossip also, because that's a part of it, like the sharing of information when it comes to not necessarily like scholarly things, but the sharing of information about what you've heard about what's happening around you with the people that you're involved with. That's a part of it too. So yes, yeah, so thank you so much for the support. I will go ahead and call it through if you are comfortable with where we are for the end. If you are comfortable with where we are for the end. The 48 Laws of Power is a terrible book that everybody should read. Oh, that's relatable and funny. Yes, you're so welcome. Thank you too. Thank you too. Thank you too. I give my love and gratitude to you. May everything that you receive be received in love, truth, elevation, and free in the highest order that there can be. Thank you again, Esmeralda, for your heart and your work. Wow. And I'm really like, how do I say, now that we're like out of reading space and there's been a closure on it, I'm really excited for you. This is really wonderful. Like your chart is very, I don't have a lot of words about it, but it's pretty great. That was a really great reading. So thank you for the opportunity to sit in that reading. That was a gorgeous, beautiful, wonderful reading. So wow. Yes, it was. I am gonna be posting my, how do I say, live streams for replay on YouTube, because there's been several people who have reached out to me for like being able to basically like go back and watch their readings again, and my videos are too long to post on TikTok. so they'll be up there if you need to like receive the information. Beautiful. I look forward to it because I am really grateful to be able to sit in your energy. That was beautiful. It was a beautiful thing. So when do I think I'll be on again? That is not a question I have an answer to. I probably will not be on later today. I have a feeling I need to rest. I did a lot of emotional work over the previous couple days. Also, yeah, you're welcome. Yeah, I've done a lot of emotional work over the previous couple days, and I need to sleep. I need some rest. And also I just need some time to digest everything that's been coming through for me on a personal level. Pluto retrograde, with all the Aries alignments that we've had, the Spirit said, sit down to me. Spirit says, sit down to me. So, yeah, literally, I mentioned this earlier in the live stream, but I'll say it again. Literally Friday, I was going to get on Friday and do readings because there's people who were asking me to get on Friday specifically and do readings. And I really wanted to, and Spirit was like, don't sit in your duty today. You need to take the day off. Don't do it. You sit. So I did. And there was a lot that came through. So I don't know exactly when the next time that I'll be on is. And I explained this. What time is it for you right now? Also, thank you. It's like 4:30 here. I sleep during the daytime most of the time. So this is like kind of midday for me, or like early evening in reflection to like a normal day. What is normal? Just something we all agree on. So yeah. But yeah, I'm also working in a lot of like transitions right now when it comes to my work and what I'm offering to people, and there's just some changes going on, you know? So that's so validating. Well, good. Yeah, so within those transitions and there's a change in positions, transitions. I made it out of a really hard period recently, so I'm just allowing myself to like digest and rest and understand and not be stressed and focus on not being depressed. So not that I am, but focus on the love and the light of things again after being through a lot of shadows and darkness for a long time. So it's different. And I had the realization recently too that when you are going through a transition from a really dark period into a really like full of light and love period, as I am right now in that transition, I've been feeling really like antsy or like I was joined at the end. I like the moon awareness on that too. Welcome. And I'm feeling really antsy about the transition, or just like being there too early or being there too late, or like, just like the timing of the transition. I realized recently that if you're going from that dark period into the light period, it can't all happen at once. What happens if you've been sitting in the dark all day? You go outside, the sun blinds you. At least for a moment. Why would Spirit do that to you? Spirit's not going to do that to you. At least not for me, where I'm at right now. In the middle of that transition from a hard time into an easy time. So, like, if you're going through that transition as I am now, or you're in a change of position from a really hard time into an easy time, allow it to pour through very simply and at the pace that it needs to. Because that is... I think because for me too, there's a lot of endings that happen very simultaneously. It's like, this is done and this is done and this is done. All of a sudden, and now I'm like very slowly, it's like it's growth energy, it's natural growth energy instead of being in the force of like over and energy. So very different, but you know what, I'm grateful to be here. So grateful to be here. Yeah, I think I am going to get off. I'm going to go rest. I'm going to go digest. If you do want to know when my next live stream is going to be, my advice for people, or just like what I tell people, for people who are looking to have a reading from me, since my list is closed and I'm getting off tonight, if you are on my profile, I think you can get there by clicking on that. Almost said clacking on that. The clickety clacks, clacking on that, clicking on that. If you're there, you can turn on the notifications on my page. So that is a way to receive my notifications of when I'm going on my live, and there it will be. So, yeah. And thanks for being here. Thanks for the support. And, well, it was such a good live stream tonight, too. So thank you. Thank you so much for being here. And thank you for the work you do. You know what? Because the work in spirit is not just for me. It's not just for you. It's for the people who decide to walk through. So thank you for the work that you do, because collective work, it does take all of us. So that's just what it is. It takes all of us on an individual level. It's true. So, yeah. Love you guys. I'll talk to you soon.